Hey, hello everyone. All my wonderful friends waiting for me here. Uh, so good to see you all. So happy to be here. And I gave the show, the today's show, the TV term, a name. I gave it a title. You are already that. What is that? Right? That is the true self, what some would call the higher self, right? Whatever it is you've been seeking, whatever it is you've been wanting, whatever questions you've had, whatever it is, including enlightenment, you are already that. This little tidbit is the thing that the mind has the most difficulty in trying to assimilate and come to terms with as truth. Because the mind is an inherent seeker. It's a problem solver. It is a way of, that's its whole purpose, is to solve problems and fix things, right? But if there's nothing to solve, if the ultimate problem of existence and reality has been solved, what does the mind have to do? Absolutely nothing. So the last thing it can accept is you are already exactly what it is you have been seeking. This is the sweet secret, right? If that can sink into your heart, you really won't pay any attention to any of the questions that come up in your mind, because all of the questions are based on this idea that I'm not that, but I can get to it at some point, right? If I work really hard and I meditate more and I do X, Y, and Z, and I have this practice, I will arrive at awakening, enlightenment, moksha. And it's very subtle, because you'll even hear me talk about practice. And I've even got the class coming up on inner reconciliation, which is a process. But ultimately, if you can grasp this most simple and direct pointing, that if it's true, then it must be true now. Truth is not something that becomes true, that it didn't exist and comes into existence, or it was false once and now it's true. Beliefs work like that. Thought patterns work like that. Concepts work like that. But if it's true, it means it is what is, which means it must have always been true, always will be true, which means it's true now, right now. The truth of your being is true now, not 15 minutes from now, not after you've finally completed your 30 levels of whatever and paid a lot of money for it, but now, right this moment. And notice how difficult it is for your mind, our conceptual selves, to take that in. Now, what'll happen is that immediately the mind will start going, yeah, but well, what about this? And I'm not, I don't act like the master, right? I don't act like this, this special being. I don't have any special powers. I'm still the same ordinary person I always was. What if that's it? What if there isn't anything beyond that? Consider that for just a moment. For just a moment, consider that. I'm already that. Which means every question that comes up, every doubt that comes up, is simply an old pattern of thinking that has nothing to do with the truth. Arising out of the long-standing habit of thinking about yourself as one on the path, one on the way, rather than what is. But just stop for a moment Right now, everybody just stop for a moment. And close your eyes if you like. But I want you to just forget the questions you have. It's not that I'm not going to answer them. Of course I will. That's what I do every week. But just put them aside for a moment, right? Because the mind loves questions, right? And it gets one answer, and oh yeah, that's really, but you know what? And then it's off on something. That's just the way the process of thinking works. It's always a cascading set of subjects. You'll just notice that, sure, when you're in conversation with somebody, notice how it just flows one thing to another, right? One thing to another. And very rarely do you have the total non sequitur taking place. It's always one thing kind of flowing into another. It's just the way thought works. So just put all of that aside for a second. And notice that with that flow of thought, right, there's something aware of that flow of thought that isn't flowing. It isn't moving. It's very still. Isn't that you? Well, it's not somebody else in there, right? That's you. The same is true of our emotions and our sensations. Just try to take in, right? And all the questioning and the ideas and stuff from the past, ambitions for the future, even the desire for enlightenment. Right? Just put it aside because it's just a thought at this point, isn't it? Right? And if enlightenment is reality, it means enlightenment is here now. It's not an event in the future. It's a word to designate the true nature of reality right now. So would it be okay if your seeking ended right now? Or do you want to put it off for a bit more? Right? So just put all thinking aside, right? Because thinking is simply a process. Thinking is not reality. Thinking is not truth. It's an approximation at best, right? So we don't need thinking to be, do we? I mean, your pet dog or cat, they're not thinking, and they're being just fine. The plants behind me, they're not thinking. You don't need thinking to be. You don't need thinking to know, to understand. You only need thinking to put that knowing into words, right? Which is always a reduction. But you don't need them to know. Right? And just bring your attention to your own sense of being, the sense of existing, that firm, undeniable, self-validating experience of I am, without even the thought I am. You don't need it. It comes later. You can't have the thought I am if you weren't there first. First you be, then you talk about being. Now, notice that. This is what Muji calls isness. They use that term in Buddhism as well, the isness. Simple sense of being. I am. I exist. And you know it. Notice that knowing isn't derived. Nobody told you that. Nobody had to. Notice you didn't create it. It didn't come out of imagination. Because if you created it, somebody had to be there before to create it, right? So notice it doesn't have a beginning. It really doesn't have anything to do with time at all. Just notice it. Now, in that space, in that place of just beingness or isness or presence, Is there any question there? Is there any doubt that you are? Can any question or answer make you more are? And can anything take away from it? Notice this is just a simple, direct seeing. Just taking attention away from the transient, which is thinking and sensation and emotion, which is wonderful, but it comes and goes. It's totally unstable. And putting your attention on that which is totally stable. It isn't coming and going. It doesn't appear to have any moving parts. It just is. That is you. Not the conceptual you, not the self-image you, not the one you have imagined yourself to be. It's not the body, because the body is just this flow of sensation. It's not the mind, which is but a flow of thoughts. It's not the feelings, which is just a flow of emotions, none of which could be experienced on their own. Thoughts are not sentient. That is, they are not self-aware. You're aware of the thoughts. They are not aware of you. You're aware of your computer, but it is not aware of you. Now, is this a disconcerting discovery? Notice you don't need any support. You don't need any training. You don't need any processing to just see yourself. But notice that this is not the same kind of seeing, is it? Seeing yourself, but not like looking in a mirror, because that's just an image. You're really experiencing yourself directly, but not as two, right? There's not you over here and another you over here, and you're looking at it. This is very subtle, and it's one of the places the mind likes to intrude. Because when we think about knowing, we're always thinking about one thing knowing another. But how do you know yourself? This is non-dual wisdom. This is non-dual seeing, because it's not two. Yet you know that you are, don't you? You just know. And if you got your eyes closed, you can open them now. And as you're coming back to our little room here, just keep part of your attention anchored in the place that is where everything you're experiencing now is registering. That place I like to call the plane, or the point of cognition. Right? The place that knows and knows that it knows. And of course, thinking, which is always based on the subject-object relationship, will immediately start recreating a sense of I that is a person, that is a particular form, character, born here, did this, right? The memories, the aspirations, those will all come up. But notice them as simply that, right? Just patterns of thought arising on this ocean of awareness. And like a wave on the ocean is the ocean, right? Even so, all the thoughts and feelings and sensations are of and are the self. But they are the They're the perfume, the activity, the appearance of it, and not the substance of it. The substance is that simple sense, I am. So, adjust the mic a little bit. So once again, welcome. Welcome to Satsang. So, when I say things like that and putting all the questions aside, your mind can say, oh, he doesn't want any questions. We can't have any questions now. And the mind will try to twist you now into a different kind of persona to try to create a different kind of spirituality. Okay, I don't have any questions. I'm not a seeker. Put all of that aside, right? This is nothing to do with that, right? The mind will just continue to wrap you into a pretzel because it imagines there's some particular form of thought or body that is the appropriate one, right? Again, all it's doing is saying you're not already that. And you are, just as you are. Just this, right here, right now, whatever happens to be going on is it. What else could it be but the one it, the only reality there is? So your life and all the events in it and everything going on in the world right now are not a mistake. So we can let go of the idea that we actually have to be afraid of anything. None of this is a mistake. It is all the way in which truth unfolds itself. And the human mind cannot dictate the means by which truth reveals itself to itself. So, all righty, let me kind of look through the queue here. Skip to the bottom for a second. Namaste. There's Ava in Poland. What a powerful title today. Oh, thank you. There is Bob in Diligent Students from here. Came half an hour earlier. Love from Serbia. Love to Serbia. Hey, Bob. Robbie in Romania, watching a full moon. Beautiful. Hello, Sifu and everyone. Sending you love and your loved ones. Thank you, Penny. Hey, Mark. Merck. Hey, GP and everyone from sparkling Scandinavia. Satsang on Sunday Eve is a nice way of preventing a case of the Mondays from being taken too seriously. We are already that which is aware. Yes, indeed. That's correct. And just all you have to do is look. Are you not aware? Right? And are you never not aware? There could be no experience without awareness, could there? So it's always there. We've just mistaken that the living awareness for the body-mind. That's all. That somehow awareness is dependent upon this structure, rather than the other way around. Because if the structure wasn't here, awareness would be. You'd be aware of the fact that there's no structure, there's no body. That's what happens at death. But if awareness wasn't here, there'd be no body, there'd be no mind, there'd be no emotions, there'd be no world, there'd be no universe. None of it would exist. How could it? For who? There's Penny, just wanted to share it's another powerful practices today in preparation for your upcoming course. Please don't miss out this wonderful opportunity to learn from Sifu and Evan. Thank you, Penny. Yes, I have an event coming up, a class. Let me put it up. That's where you can learn about it. So I walk through the comments here. And it is part of the process, just as I get saying, you don't actually need one. And it is kind of a funny thing to teach a class to teach you that there's no need for you to take a class. But the fact is, we are so indoctrinated into the mind, into the flow of thoughts that is the mind. We are so used to assuming that it is true, that this is how it actually is, that a statement like you are already that has a hard time really sinking in. really going all the way in, because the mind has so much resistance to that idea. And because we've been feeding the mind so well for so long, it has a lot of stamina. It's got a lot of energy, and will produce a lot of resistance to that single idea, which is completely contradictory to the entire foundation on which our thinking has been based. And not just yours, everybody. Look around. That idea of I am the body mind, is embedded in and manifested in every single thought form, institution, religion, economic system. Every system on the planet has that at its root. So when you encounter this idea of enlightenment, and believe me, even encountering the possibility of enlightenment in a lifetime is a truly auspicious thing. Not everybody will. I mean, I'd never heard that phrase when I was a kid, right? I was well into my 20s and 30s when it even popped onto my radar. I mean, before that, there was metaphysics and things like that, but enlightenment, I had no idea, right? So the very fact that even that word has appeared is portentous, right? But now let's, looking at it further, you can see that the idea that I am already the perfect infinite being, notice how resistant your mind is to it. Right? Say that in any place other than satsang and see what kind of look you get. So don't be surprised that it can take some time to really begin to bring all the thought patterns into alignment with this truth. And that's what inner reconciliation is about. It gets you out of the inner conflict with yourself, even out of the inner conflict with your own thinking. Because you get this idea, oh no, I got to overcome the ego now. And then all of a sudden you get in a war with this thing, the ego, right? Which in fact doesn't exist. It doesn't have any power. But because you've decided, I've got to get rid of the ego, you have literally created an entity out of thin air. Because otherwise, it's just a thought going by. Nothing more. Right? Absolutely nothing more. You say, oh, I've really got to get rid of this. I really got to overcome my ego. I really got to experience ego death. Right? No, you don't. Any more than you have to experience the death of a cartoon character. It doesn't exist as an entity, only as an idea. And if I don't buy the idea, I don't buy the entity. There's nothing there to oppose me. I'm already that. It's very simple to take these thoughts in, and don't try to force it. G says I'm already that. I'm already that. Nothing like that. Say something inside you says, this feels true. This really feels true. It resonates with me. And yet there's all sorts of doubts and resistance and the like. Okay, I get it. There's a momentum there. So I'm going to just be with both of these at the same time. Yes, it feels really true that I must be always that. I mean, it may even make sense logically that if the truth about me must be the truth about me now and always, which means I'm only misunderstanding myself. I'm not going to become myself. I already am, but I think I'm something else. Now that's different. And there's a natural momentum to thinking because I've been believing it for so long. It's got some traction going. All right, so let me just sit here with both. I'm not going to fight the mind. What's the point, right? It's just a pattern of thought. If I start fighting it, I turn it into an entity. I make it a problem. Right? And if it's a problem, the mind goes, oh boy, good, a problem. Wonderful. I love problems. Let's fix this problem. Let's meditate more. Let's do even more extreme positions in yoga, right? The mind loves that. It'll keep you going for another 4 or 5 lifetimes, right? Or you can just, right, right? That's just a pattern of thought, nothing more. And just sit in this place in the middle. That's the place I call inner reconciliation. You've stepped into the role of the peacemaker. You're simply completely open and accepting to whatever that happens to be present without taking issue with any of it. It's pure peace, no conflict. And it is there that the reality of the truth that is you sinks in more and more deeply, until finally the whole dream vaporizes and you realize you never even had a dream. So it's not a total contradiction that I teach classes about that. It's a concession. It's a concession to the sense of a separate self. It's a compassionate concession to help lead somebody out of the darkness by turning on a light. So that's coming up. 2 weeks, actually. Yeah, 2 weeks. And Evan and I will be doing a live demonstration of it. Some of you may have seen the video that I already did, that Evan and I did like 2-3 years ago. We decided to do another one live, which I think is going to be next week, the 26th. And also for my patron community, this Wednesday, I will be doing a private satsang on Zoom for all of you. So if you, let me put that one up there too. Patron, there it is. So for $15 a month, you get access to a whole bunch of stuff plus monthly. I'm trying to do it monthly. Hopefully I'll be able to do it monthly. A private satsang like this. Only it's on Zoom, so we can see each other, we can talk, we can engage more. So when I can really probe into the questions more deeply. So let's go back here. Crispin, hello, Crispin. Hello, beautiful friend. Much love from Switzerland. Do we have a body, or are we the body? Or rather, is the body the instrument through which life is experiencing itself? Then me and the body would be one, right? Yes, and they all represent, everything you said represents a particular level of perception. We all start out with the idea, I am the body, right? Even if it's not conscious, right? When I think of myself, I think of this form, the person, because the body includes thoughts, emotions, and sensations. And in thoughts, of course, that includes memories, beliefs, ideas, concepts, assumptions, ambitions. That's all part of the same thing. And so I can identify it with a form, right? Because you go through life thinking I'm a man or a woman, right? Very, very fundamental. I'm white, I'm Asian, I'm Black, I'm Native American, or as an Aboriginal. Those are all the physical attributes of the body, but yet we adapt them. We think of them, we take them on as ourselves. Right? The same thing is true of our beliefs. I'm a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Republican, I'm a Labor Party, right? I'm a socialist, I'm a communist, I'm a capitalist. That's identification with particular belief systems, right? That's also part of the I am the body idea, right? Now, of course, you see, if you had a slightly different upbringing, you'd have a completely different set of beliefs, right? you would be thinking completely differently, right? If your father had the tofu salad instead of the steak the night he and your mother made love, you may have made a girl. I mean, it's amazing. Tweak one little thing here and everything's different. Your whole sense of I would be different, right? Completely different. So it happens on every single level, every experience. So at that fundamental level, and we all start there, we all fall into the I am the body idea. Now, in just common parlance, we talk about having a body. Now, for most, it's just a term. It's just a phrase. They think that the whole self-image is based on the body. But looking at it further, we begin to recognize that, well, I do have a body. There's this body here through which I am experiencing, and it's kind of the first awakening that, gee, I wonder if I am the body. There seems to be something else here. But then we get the idea of the more ephemeral body, and we call that a soul, right? It's my soul. There's this soul inhabiting this physical structure, right? And at the highest end of that, right, we can think of it as consciousness, and the body is the vehicle through which it experiences and expresses. And that's much, much closer. It is, the body is to you what the piano is to the pianist, right? It is the vehicle through which you can be expressed and experienced, right? It is the nature of experience itself. But then you can take it one step further. And when you really look at it carefully, really take a nice look at it, notice that everything that you experience that you call the body is a sensation, isn't it? Right? Everything you hear, taste, smell, touch, see, even seeing me on the screen right now, is a sensation, right? Now, the experience of sensation is absolute. Right? But now I want you to look at the sensation and see if there's anything in the sensation itself that tells you beyond a doubt that that sensation is being produced by a body. You see, the only evidence we have of the body is sensation, right? But if you look in the sensation, you'll find sensation, but you won't find a body. So the higher understanding is that there is this thing we call sensation, but there's no body out there actually producing it. In fact, what we call sensation is actually consciousness conceiving itself. In which case, even the word sensation is actually inaccurate. Then the more proper word would be perception. I am perceiving. But that which is being perceived is being produced by the perceiver, not by some external agency. And at that point, you can begin to see that what is being experienced and the one that is experiencing it are one. Now, you and the body, it's not that you and the body are one. There is no body. There is only you. And you experience yourself through what we call sensation, emotion, and thought. But all of those are nothing but the evanescent ripples, like waves on top of the ocean. You look at the wave, and we think of the wave as being connected to the ocean, but kind of different from the ocean. But in fact, it is the ocean. The ocean isn't just the water sitting there not doing anything. It's everything. It's the currents, it's the waves, it's the fish, it's the entirety, the oneness of it. So hopefully that answers your question. I know maybe I went more deep than you needed me to, but there it is. And let me turn this off now. I get tired of my relentless promoting. Rosario in Madrid, so good to see you. Merck, by the way, notice that the word current means both now and flow. Maybe another hint about time and change. And we also say stuff like the river of time and stream of consciousness. Virtual hug. Yes, very true. It means both now and flow, because the now is simply the point at which the flow is perceived. That is, without now, there's nothing, right? And the content of now is forever changing. Right? It never sits still. And we think of that as a flow. So we imagine time as these things prior to now flowing into it and then flowing out of it, as if there's this stream, this river of time. But in fact, there is nothing prior to now, and there's nothing after now. What you are simply seeing is the continual transformation of now, of the content of now, of consciousness known, and because it is constantly transforming itself, it creates the illusion of time, as if there was a past and a future. There wasn't. It is the moment it appears, it's gone. It's Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, like that. It's gone. Its existence is totally evanescent. That is, it doesn't matter how thinly you slice time, you will not find anything there. And that is the wondrous mystery of this whole thing, of being. Because everything exists and nothing exists simultaneously. Don't give that thought to your mind. It'll just freak out. So don't even bother. Thank you, Merck. Sean, AGP, I hope you're doing amazing. Is there any way to know what generates awareness or what is aware? Like, could a robot be aware? By the way, I'm in the Seattle area and it'd be great to get a meetup. I'll answer the second part first. I did meetups. I did have a meetup group that got pretty regularly. We had a nice group of people there pretty regularly, but COVID took place of that. The libraries, where you could rent a room for free, they dried up. I mean, everything closed down, and I still have the account, and I was going to restart it, but I'm going to be moving at the end of the year. So, and I don't think the libraries here have actually reopened for rooms as of yet. They're kind of really at all the public facilities are much slower to do that. They kind of have to be. So I don't think I'm going to get a meet up in before I leave town once again. Now, as to what generates awareness? Well, if something generated awareness, there would have had to have been something there prior to it. Now, the dominant scientific and materialistic view is that which preceded awareness was simply matter. The Big Bang, things congealed, and after about 13, almost 14 billion years, a particular weird combination of matter came together to create the sense of consciousness or being, self-awareness. Now, not everybody believes that there's a qualitative difference between consciousness and everything else material. So it's just an assumption that they're laboring on to say, yeah, well, okay, we'll prove it eventually, which is not very scientific. It's a big unknown, basically, as far as science is concerned. From your own personal experience, right? Do you know anything other than awareness? Right? And like I did in a little meditation at the beginning, could you find a beginning to it? Was there a starting point? Experientially, right? So that if there was a starting point, is an assumption, right? All we can say about prior to your birth is, I don't remember. All we could say really about after death would be, I don't know. Right? So if I look at my experience throughout my entire life, I find a constant churning of content and experience, but the sense of being that was having the experience was completely unchanging. It was no different when I was 5 than it is now at 69. No different. Right? The exact same fundamental experiencing is identical. I draw the conclusion from that, and I think reasonably so, is that it's timeless, that it was there before birth and it will be there after death. The experience, of course, will change dramatically, right? But what is being experienced? That is, who is doing the experience will not change at all, any more than it changes when my dreams at night just flip from one thing to another very, very quickly, yet I remain the same. So now asking about the awareness of something else. And it's a great question. I mean, robots are getting increasingly sophisticated, and it won't be that long in the future that there will be some kind of a robotic character that will be so lifelike that we will project sentience on it. Right? The way we do cartoon characters and the way little kids do. My granddaughter talks about, characters in movies as if they were real people. Right? So she talks about Anna and Elsa from Frozen, and they're very real to her, right? Right? Purely projection. We say they're not. Well, they exude all those qualities, don't they? Why not? And we all do the same. We will do the same thing. I'm sure, there will be people who will be demonstrating for robot rights, right? We have to understand the nature of awareness in order to be able to answer that question. Because the fact of the matter is, the only awareness you know is you. The only self you know is you. You don't know if I'm aware. You don't know if I'm a robot. You don't. And you can't, right? So all you can do is explore yourself. All roads lead back to my own individual experience. What am I experiencing? Because if I'm going to know what awareness is, I have to go to awareness. And where is that? You can't go to me, right? Because you don't even know if I am. Matter of fact, right now you're talking to a replica of me right on the screen. And you're just trusting in faith that there's actually somebody somewhere out there, says it's in Seattle, that's actually, a real thing behind all of this, right? But the truth of the matter is, this body sitting here in Seattle is not the awareness that is behind it. The awareness that's behind it is everywhere. It appears, as this person sitting here, or the image on your screen. It appears as the plants behind me. It appears even as the concrete. You see, it's a popular idea now. All things have consciousness. And I say, no, they don't. Consciousness has all things. Everything appears in consciousness. Consciousness is not a thing that kind of jumps in and inhabits a body. It says, this is a nice body. I think I will go in here. What is the consciousness? It's that sense of I. It's that sense of awareness. Otherwise, it's, right, the body's basically an organic cyborg, right? That's just needs to be activated, right? So consciousness jumps in, ta-da, right? Awareness, right? To truly know oneself is a totally subjective experience. Because how else can you do it, right? There's no place you can go. There's no external validation you can get, because it is external. It will always be subject-object relationship. You cannot have a subject-object relationship with yourself. You cannot stand aloof from yourself and look back and describe. So that means knowing yourself, knowing awareness, you must go to the only place you ever experience awareness, and that's you, the consciousness that is hearing my words right now. That is awareness. And that's the only awareness you can ever know. The rest will be pure speculation. So forget about the rest of us. Forget about the robots. Forget about the picture on the screen. Forget about some guy sitting in Seattle sipping on a tea. And just where do I go directly to experience reality? My reality, my beingness. I'm aware. That's self-evident. What then is awareness? But don't be thinking of it as something that's in others. is it like this commodity, this strange thing that gets into others. And it's, it's one thing in an animal, it's another thing in a plant, it's another thing in a human, and maybe there's other beings in other dimensions, and it's something else altogether in that. Because that's all speculation. Go to what you know, right? Like we did in the beginning of that exercise. And just go right back to your own sense of being and realize that I am awareness. And this is all I know about it. Of course, it's everything there is to know about it. And I am that, which means everything is appearing in awareness. It's not in anything. Everything, nothing has consciousness. Consciousness has everything. Hopefully that helps you, Sean, my neighbor in Seattle. Hello, Liza. There's nobody here. Happy Sunday, everybody. Best time of the week. There's nobody here. Wonderful. Hello, Mary. Hello. David and Elaine. Hello, GP and everyone. Greetings from Southeast England. Wonderful. Hello, Anne in Georgia. Good to see you, Anne. Martin, what does karma really mean? Very, very good. Let's see. I can give the flippant answer, which is it means absolutely nothing except what you say it means. That is the flippant answer, but it's also the most true. Look, I'll let you in on a little secret. Nothing has any meaning or presence or purpose or being unless you say so, because you are being. So if you decide that there's this thing called karma that is acting on me, I will have the experience of some force called karma that is acting on me. But in fact, I'm the one acting on me, projected on this force called karma. Nothing exists other than the self. Karma is not a reality. It's a belief. But the nature of mind, the nature of consciousness is such that whatever is believed gets experienced experientially. It becomes an experiential, quote unquote, reality. I experience it because I believe it. And what's the nature of the belief? The belief is that I am this body and that there are other bodies, forces, powers, laws, energies that all exist independently from me, that have certain characteristics and interact with me. That is the way the world is seen. That is not the non-dual perception. It is all mind. If I believe in karma, I experience karma. Right? The moment I realize I am not this body, I was never born and I'm never going to die, where in that is karma? I not only was I didn't have a lot of, I was never born at all. As Mooji likes to say, you only live once, but it's forever. Right? Maybe I'm going too far with this because, people want, I can talk about karma and the law and how it works and the various and the influence that it has, but I just really feel like going right for the juggler today. I don't feel like, I just spent 5 days with Mooji. I don't feel like I don't feel like stair stepping it right now. I'll stair step it during my classes and stuff, but right now I don't feel like doing that. This is the fundamental premise. We believe ourselves to be the body and that there's a world out there independent from us that is acting on us. We do not realize that if I believe something, I will literally manifest it as my experience. I will call that experience reality because I believe that it exists independently from me. And I think reality is what's out there. And then there's me here, and there's some kind of reality to me. But reality is something out there that I experience. It's not true. Nothing is out there. Nothing has inherent meaning. You give it its meaning. You give it its power. You give it its authority. You give it its character. It's all you, right? You are seeing yourself reflected everywhere. But because we've identified with the body, we think of ourselves as limited and finite and here, and that there's this whole world out there that's acting independently of that. And it's not true. It's simply not true. If meaning and power belonged to an object out there, then everybody that experienced that object would be experiencing the same meaning and the same influence, right? But we don't. No two people look at anything and see the same thing, right? So how can we possibly say, well, that's what it is, right? It isn't. It is simply what it's perceived to be. But what we don't realize is when we perceive something and we say, this is what it is, because you are the truth, whatever you say is true becomes true experientially. So if I say, I am sick, I will be sick, right? I will manifest sickness. Now, when I talk about manifesting this, I'm not bringing this to the level of like law of attraction and all that, which is quite a infantile and remedial reduction of what I'm talking about here. That is the way that the ego tries to grab that and say, well, that means I can get whatever I want, right? But that it's morally bankrupt because it never asks who it is that's getting it or what's the consequences of getting it, right? It never asks the most fundamental question, and that is, who am I? It just assumes that my desire for something external I can get, right? Because I can just change my thinking and I will attract it into my life. This is not that. So please put that out of your head. I'm not here to make sure you can get that hunky guy or hot girl, and and the cars and the house and the all of that. I hope you don't actually, because it'll just distract you for several more lifetimes. This is a deep existential insight into the real nature of things, because we have projected out upon what in fact is simply consciousness known, the idea of an externally existing reality. We call that the world. The world is an illusion. As Shankara pointed out, the world is an illusion. All is Brahma. Brahma is the world. What you are seeing is the self. Not, so, when I say you're seeing yourself, how is that possible? That becomes confusing when the self I believe I'm seeing is this sense of the finite me, the separate self, the personal self, the person. So I mistake myself for the body, and then somebody comes along and says the universe is the self, and I think, how is that possible? It isn't possible, right? It's not possible for me to conceive of the universe as being GP. This is just one little perspective of this infinite thing, but what's the whole? The whole, which is beyond all perceptions, all possibilities simultaneously. That's the self. That is Brahma. That is your actual being, right? And so really note, right? When you're talking about karma, you are imagining some external force that operates completely outside of your permission, right? This is how we think of it. This is how it's presented, right? Well, you did this. You started that stone rolling. There's no way to stop it now. Sorry, have a nice day. No, there's no stone. There's no rolling. There's no past. There's no future. There's no karma. As long as you see, I am not this body, which means I have not been a whole series of bodies. I have always been the undifferentiated field of consciousness, upon which body after body after body has arisen and fallen away, but there is no karma or laws for me. I am the law. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Right? I'm not talking about me personally. I'm talking about you. You. So hopefully that answers it for you, Martin. If that's too much, I can go back and discuss it on another level, but I really feel like just kind of taking you all home through the shortest route possible. Shh, come here, I got a shortcut. Let's go this way. Don't tell them. Don't tell them. Hello, David and Elaine again, on time, but well behind these. Yeah, that's right. Crowd starts gathering early. I'm going to have to start serving refreshments now. Everybody's showing up early. They're going to expect some, hey, where's my snacks? Where's the wine? Annette, hello, Annette, Rockstar. Hello, hello. How can I recognize people who are good for me and who have a big heart? Thank you. Boy, that's a big question. And we're actually going to be taking that up in the next show, in the next flow show with Lisa. She wanted to do it about this idea. I have to love myself first in order to love somebody else. And so the name of that show is you must love yourself first, and other bullshit ideas about love. So I will be going into that. We'll spend a whole hour just on that subject. So if you can't get to it live, it'll be available short here and all over the place. But let me address this, because it's really very important when we come to our relationship with others, and we do find ourselves, choosing the wrong people to be with. Right? Well, it appears to be, right. Is it really the wrong person? If you happen to notice that you keep choosing the same kind of person over time, the very fact that you noticed it couldn't have happened unless something became conscious, right? So we're like, God, this really sucks. I don't want to go through this anymore. Of course you don't, now that you've seen it. Prior to that, you just make another unconscious choice. And we do that over and over and over and over again until consciousness begins to dawn. We go, okay, I have been doing that. What do I need now to cultivate so I don't do that anymore? And the beings that come into my life now are really life enhancing, right? They're willing to be present and to give, and they're willing to receive. They're willing to let me be myself. And that, for me, is the key to all of it. The real question is, why am I attracting these kinds of people, or how can I recognize these kinds of people? The real question is, how much permission do I give myself to truly be me? How willing am I to be seen, right? And how willing am I to trust my own intuition? You see, if there's any kind of sense of like I really need something, or I need someone, and of course there is a human need for connection. We can't deny that. We can't pretend that that's not a factor. We can't take the spiritual approach that I don't need anybody. I could just I'm going to join the monastery, take a vow of celibacy. For the vast majority, that's just utter nonsense. It's just a nice that spiritual platitude masquerading as genuine spirituality. There's a recognition of the nature of human life, and we all need connection, right? Human beings need connection. It's a very advanced state to transcend that. So there's no need to deny that. But notice, we need genuine connection. Most of our relationships are not genuine connections. They are more business transactions. You got something, I got something, we get together, we do a deal, right? It can be friendly business relationships, but even most romantic relationships are that, because they're not conscious yet. And so it starts by first reconnecting to you, to the point where you're willing to let yourself be seen enough that you can determine whether or not you're being accepted for you, or whether or not they're hiding. And in that process of self-acceptance also comes intuition, because you'll very naturally know if somebody's at the same point of that kind of, and they're willing to be seen, because that's the vulnerability. And that shared vulnerability makes it safe to be together. And that's what is actually happening when you say, have a big heart, an open heart, a heart that's open to themselves and to you. And if they're open enough, there can be enough spiritual maturity there that a container is created that can sustain you even when the blind spots come up, when the triggers happen, when all of a sudden that man that you used to be totally in love with is now a daddy figure, which is going to happen in every single relationship. There are times when that woman of your dreams is mommy and the man of your dreams is daddy. Something gets triggered, right? And you're 8 years old again. And you're, and if there's spiritual maturity there, it's actually a beautiful vestibule in which those kinds of primitive wounds that created that stuck energy at that particular point in time can be healed. But it starts with a willingness to truly accept yourself as you are. And for me, what that means to me basically is you learn to be present and totally accepting of all of your own feelings. You reject nothing of yourself. You reject nothing of this moment. This is what I call inner reconciliation. I'll harp on that because it's something that can be learned. We've been trained into self-rejection, and when parts of you are being rejected, what remains becomes kind of the lens through which you see the world. That's the realm of experience is confined to that, right? Because big parts of you are left out. So this is what's left. So this is what you're trying to interact with the world. So you're a bit myopic. So you're not going to see the whole picture, right? Until all of a sudden you see enough of the same picture over and over that you begin to take a step back. And so what it means is you start with simple allowing yourself to feel what you feel when you're feeling, just to not be self-rejecting, which means try to force yourself into a different state of mind, force yourself into feeling different. You shouldn't feel that way. Dropping all those kinds of ideas and entering into the place of self-discovery. When I do inner reconciliation, it is the fastest way I've found to get somebody back to that place of self-acceptance, where this other stuff can begin to blossom, where the parts of you didn't have access to begin to come to the surface. And that includes your playfulness, it includes intuition, it includes trust, it includes incisiveness. You can detect, you can begin to smell the phony a mile away. You'll notice, oh my God, he's gaslighting me. Okay, got it, thank you. Right. And you can see that, and you won't cling to something anymore because there's enough spiritual strength inside of you that you can let go. It's not enough. It's okay. I don't mind being alone. Right. And that's the state of mind that will send out signals to the like-minded, right? And at the same time we'll discern, right, if a vampire happens to show up. So I cannot emphasize enough the process of inner reconciliation. I've spent decades crafting it to make it the fastest way through all of the muck back to the center of you that begins to liberate things. So I've got home study courses. I've got all sorts of stuff about it. I've got more in-depth training and the like, because it's my answer. It's the answer I came up with after decades of stumbling around in the dark. So there you go. Does that help, Annette? Does that kind of answer it for you? I mean, I hope I answered it. I wasn't just trying to tell you, take my course, but I try to give you an idea of the internal shift that has to take place in order to be standing as the one that is capable of actually engaging at the level of experience that I know you want, right? But we have to become that. Right? It isn't just a matter of how do I see these people clearly? How do I develop the eyes? How do I develop the sense of self that is absolutely impermeable to that which is unlike it and totally open to that which is like it? So, thank you, Annette. A little sip here. I got so engaged with you on it got cold. Roberto, hi from Spain. Would you please explain the difference between experiencing and experience? Well, the difference is actually is subtle, because obviously you can't have one without the other, right? Experience being, we usually talk about the experience. We're talking about a particular thing that has happened, right? I had this experience. I went here. I met this person. I did this. I jumped out of a plane. I sat and watched a movie. We talk about the experience usually in those terms. You take a step back and you realize that all of those, every possible thing that you have experienced or could experience, is experiencing. There's the actual act of experiencing, and notice that it is always going on, no matter what the particular experience is, right? And so there is this subtle difference to it, including no content whatsoever, nothing that we would call an experience. But even the experience of no experience at all, which you have every night in deep sleep, right? Dreamless sleep, where there's no content, there's no time, there's no identity, there's no sense of self, there's no world, right? Yet you still are. And interestingly enough, from that state of absolute pure experiencing of emptiness, we wake up, oh, what a great sleep. We're refreshed by that, right? Because the constant barrage of experiencing and thoughts and stuff is exhausting, right? So we want to go to this place where there's nothing. Back to that mountaintop. And so that experiencing is the constant, right? It never stops. You don't start it up in the morning and start experiencing. And notice you don't do it at all. It's just happening. It's not even really a verb. It's nothing you do, is it? Okay, I'm going to experience now, or, try to stop experiencing right now, Roberto. Come on, stop it. God damn it. Will you stop it? You can't. It's just happening. And it is always happening because it is the nature of consciousness itself. Experiencing and consciousness are synonymous. Right? We think of the experience in terms of what is being experienced, but pure experiencing, regardless of what is experienced, we would call consciousness. It's simply, I am aware. And this is what I'm aware of now, and this is what I'm aware of now. But notice that awareness is unchanging and constant. And it is not an experience, right? Because anything that experiences, it requires something having the experience or experiencing. Right? So you, which are the ultimate experience, are not an experience. That's why you don't know yourself. Experiencing is always some kind of change going on, some kind of fluctuation. Right? You're obviously not that. Does that answer it for you, Roberto? It's very subtle, but it's not insignificant. It's very important because we tend to identify with the experiencing. And then we are always seeking different experiences, right? We get lost in the experience. We have a certain sense of identity. We get afraid of some experiences and we cling to other experiences, right? And so we're forever in this inner argument of trying to get rid of and trying to grab, right? Of attachment and aversion. And our whole life becomes about trying to control experience, right? When in fact, you can't, That is a big illusion that makes you think you can. And you don't have to. If you just sink into experiencing, you'll notice that experiencing has no preference whatsoever for what it experiences. I mean, pure experiencing, right? Because even a preference is a form of thought that is experienced. This is very subtle stuff. It's very existential. I'm taking you to the threshold of pure consciousness, right? So you can detach the sense of identity, the sense of I, from what is being experienced to the absolute ultimate experiencer, which is totally free, right? Because any kind of idea about experience, its quality, its character, its quantity, I want it, I don't want it, are also experienced. So they're not the ultimate experiencer. They're not the pure witness. They're the witness with an interest, right? And if there's an interest, there's some kind of discernible attribute. And when there's a discernible attribute, it becomes a perception. It becomes an experience. Pure experiencer, the pure experience cannot be experienced. The ultimate absolute perceiver cannot be perceived. And you are that. Pure, infinite, boundless consciousness. You are that. You are already that. That is what's happening, not what the mind says is happening. Thanks, Roberto. My good buddy. Karen, hello, G. You look happy. That is nice to see. Your energy has changed over the past few weeks or months. You literally blossom out. It's so beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on for me. Some transformations that had to take place, and it caused me to think up about a lot of stuff. Looking looking towards my 70th birthday has also had kind of an effect. Going, look at that. It's still several months off, but just kind of the nature of life and death, legacy. What do I have to offer, and the like. So, staying here, going somewhere else, which the thought has occurred to me, and kind of wrestling. Every time I'm with my granddaughter, she just won't. She's glued to me. We're very, very close, and now I'm basically I'm going to be moving to Europe, at least for a while, and so a lot of stuff that I had to ponder. So. And as it comes out and the road becomes clear, and the repercussions and consequences of the decisions we make that we have to endure, it just becomes clear. This is, it says in the Bible, this is the way, walk ye in it. And so off I go. And the moment you really come to terms with that, there is a contentment. There is a surrender to that moment. So thank you for noticing, Karen. That's very sweet. Merck says, also just notice that even your waiting for the stream to start screen is also pointing to awareness. Yes. Yes. The awakened INFJ, my good friend Jonas, beloved GP. Namaste, all beings. I saw Jonas. He was with me in the retreat with Muji. Delighted to see. Very beautiful. Isabel Risello, dear. Hello, Isabel. Good to see you. Suzanne. Hello, Suzanne. Hello. Death is a taboo in my family. Yes. Wouldn't it be great if we could it's taboo, so we're not going there. I'd like you to talk about it and to know if my parents have any particular preferences concerning, and to know do you have any advice for me how to talk about it? Thank you. Some people you simply may not be able to. It's weird. It wasn't that long ago, before World War II, which was 70 years ago now. even to the turn of, for all time, really, somebody died. It was not this completely foreign thing. People were used to that. Animals died. People worked on or farm. I mean, up to the turn of the 20th century, at that point, like 95% of the U.S. anyway were farmers still. But it was 98% when the country was formed, so it went down a bit during the Industrial Revolution. And so the life and death, actually having to kill in order to eat meat, and just the normal cycle of life, we weren't detached from that, right? When people would die, they wouldn't be whisked off someplace and they do a funeral home and you go visit them. They were in the living room, right? They were laid out in the living room. The wake, when people would come to pay their respects, was in your house, right? So you go to sleep at night, you wake up, and there's Dad laying there. And then finally, after a period of time, they went off to the church, had the ceremony, and then to the ceremony, to the cemetery. And so we weren't disconnected from it. And now culturally, we have, to the point where it's a taboo in the entire culture, and people don't want to face it. And so we've got very infantile ideas about it. We want to act as if it's not going to happen, right? Or that we can live for 200 years or something. Maybe we can, right? And I heard somebody just the other day at something I was participating in. The body was made to live for 150 years. Like, well, so what? Okay, right. So it used to be 30 years, right? And now it's 72 and it's 150. So what? Right? It's going to go. Right? We have to come to terms with it. And it's really actually a brilliant thing. And I'm speaking to you for your sense of it, Suzanne, because you may not be able to have that conversation with them. In which case, you'll just have to accept the fact that for them, it is taboo. They're too afraid of it. And you just have to find other ways to discern what might be appropriate for them. And in terms of them having particular preferences, their preferences are totally irrelevant because funerals aren't for them. They're good. Funerals are for those that are left, to get some meaning out of it and to help them, whoever it remains, coming to terms with this reality we all have to deal with. And it's not the ultimate reality because consciousness never dies. It is a transformation that is happening all the time. You die as the adolescent, right? And become the post-pubescent, right? And that dies to become, the teenager, which then becomes the young adult. You could see every single day we're dying and being reborn. The idea of birth and death is not a moment in time. It is a theme that is playing itself out constantly. The Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva cycle, creation, duration, and dissolution, is a theme that is happening every nanosecond, right? Right now, there's literally millions of cells in a second are dying and being reborn in your body at all time. It's constantly churning. It's a life-death machine. This is how life works, right? Now, understanding that every single event in your life is unique in all time. That wonderful time you had with somebody the other night, right? Which is just so wonderful, you didn't want to let it go. You had to let it go. It had a natural conclusion to it. And so that wonderful experience had a death, right? It had a birth. Of course, no birth, there'd been no wonderful experience, but no death. It would have become mundane, mediocre. It would just same thing over and over again. It is this coming and going, this rising and falling, that makes it so sweet. And knowing that whatever it is, whoever it is, whether they're younger than you and you're going to die, or they're older than you and they're going to die, that death gives this moment a significance and a beauty and an importance that it wouldn't have of any other way. As Mooji says, death is one of God's greatest ideas. And it is. to know that everything ultimately comes to an end makes you appreciate absolutely everything. Right? If you're with your partner, right, and you're feeling angry or something, and you realize that at any moment they could be gone, that anger isn't going to have the same bite to it. It's like, it's not important. It's not really important. With this trivial thing, who gives it? Who cares? It's not important, right? This moment is, and I'm going to savor this moment because I'm never going to have it again. Even the person I love and I'm with is going to be different tomorrow, right? And if I don't hold them, I want them to be the same. 5 years from now, I can fall in love all over again because there's this whole new being that I'm with, that I could discover whole new aspects of. And you can find that in any given individual, you will find the eternal beingness, the one self that is simply repeating itself in every form, everywhere in the universe, constantly. There aren't a bunch of individuals running around. There are a bunch of individualized manifestation of one self. And that's deathless. The forms will come and go. Of course they do. They have to, right? But the self does not. You are the self. You are already that, right? So I hope that helps. But if you come to terms with that in yourself, and just that's what it is, you'll appreciate them more. You'll appreciate what they were. You'll begin to let go of all the things they weren't, which I'm sure was plenty. As you just kind of take more and more into yourself, as your own capacity to transmute that energy grows. And I think what'll happen is you'll just kind of intuitively discern what would be the best way to honor them, or they'll feel that openness. They'll feel your openness and lack of fear of it. And that will allow them to open up and say, you know what, I'd really like, and they might be able to say something. Right now, personally, I'm leaning towards getting put into one of those root balls for a tree. I think that would be a very appropriate way for this to end. Even scattering it is too much of a mess. Stick me in a bulb and let me become a tree. I'd like that. So, oh, you're so welcome, Suzanne. I hope that really helps. GB, good evening, all. Just got back from 10-day meditation retreat today and don't know what to do with myself. Hoping GP and Satsang will bring me into land. Love from Georgia in London. Oh, 10-day retreat, probably Vipassana. Wonderful. Don't know what to do with yourself. Don't know. The Zen master Swan Sang always would just say, don't know, only go straight. Just go one foot after another, one thing after another. You don't have to know what you're doing. We don't know what we're doing. And you sit for 10 days and you realize, Jesus, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have to know what I'm doing. Right? The whole thing can just completely disappear. All of the thoughts, all of the worries, all of the doubts, all of the questions, all of what about this or what about that? All of that can, and you realize that the mind is not 5 parts problem solver, 5 parts problem maker. So I'm not going to bring you into land. Matter of fact, we're all going to join you. You just let yourself be. This is what's different, because we live in a world that wants something concrete and what are you going to do and that kind of stuff. And it feels like I'm just kind of floating, that nothing's going to happen. But that's the mind, right? Because the mind wants things concrete. It thinks, well, if it's not doing it, in fact, if I'm just kind of floating around, nothing's going to happen. It's a lie. It's not true. It's not true. Things are happening, aren't they? You made it home, right? So you could drive or at least navigate public transportation. So you could make it home. You learned the TV. You could turn on the computer and hang out in satsang. So that was good, right? It's all there. Everything you need, all the practical knowledge, all the skill, it's all still there. But it can now serve this other, much more rarefied and much more powerful and much more creative and much more liberated beingness, instead of, the kind of the rote, what the world tries to do to us, which is to kind of put it into this, put you into a little box, right? So don't worry. Wow, this is great. This is great. You'll begin to realize that life takes care of life. Life is making the forms, right? So whatever it is you need to become in a moment, whatever a particular moment requires from you, you'll be that. But then you can just drop back out of it again, back into the place. So you'll come into land, right? You'll do your thing, and off you go again. You never have to land for good, ever again. Very good. Wonderful, GB. Wonderful. GB. Love it. Georgia B. in London. Georgia B. That sounds more like a southern gal. Roberto, I can't even start telling you how many things I've been realizing lately, GP. I don't have a clue how to proceed, but thank you for the bottom of my heart. Good. Because before, that's what you were always seeking, is that clue how to proceed, right? This is what we do. Our mind looks for some kind of organizing principle to make it all easy and safe. As that disappears, this like insight after insight, these realizations, oh my God, I am so much more than that. And realizing that you don't have to know how to proceed, because you never were determining what was happening anyway. Life is unfolding life. Period. That's it. Life is unfolding life, and it will unfold itself. And every single event in life is custom made for you to show you who you really are. Everything. Nothing is out of place. It never has been, right? Even the stuff our minds have gone, this is terrible, it shouldn't happen, throw it out. Right? If the mind doesn't say about anything that happens to you, if the thought never occurs to you, this is a problem. Is it a problem? I don't care what it is. No matter what experience happens, no matter what event takes place in your life, if that thought, oh, this is a problem, never occurs to you, is it a problem? So there is no such thing as a problem. Not really. There is no reality in problems. There's only an interpretation in the mind that says, this is a problem. And I see it all the time. God, I wish I could stop my mind. Why? Because it's a problem. Well, isn't that mind? Isn't that a thought? What if it's not? What if that's just a belief? And because I believe it a problem, I've created a conflict. I'm now experiencing a problem. Who made the problem? Did this thing come and announce itself? And I'm a problem and I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Or did something just happen and your mind goes, oh, this is a problem. Oh, God. What are we going to, oh, geez, what are we going to do? Let's see. Oh, I wonder what I can meditate some more. Let me see. Let me book a private session with G. That'll do it. No, 10 private sessions. Maybe he gives a discount. Oh, I know what I need to do. I need to get to the gym. No, I need a plant ceremony. Right? All because this idea, it's a problem, popped up. What if it's not? What if that thought never occurred to you? Oh, I don't have to do anything because I don't have any problems. And you don't. Nobody does. I love you, Roberto. My good buddy. I can't wait to see you. I'm gonna have to make a trip over to Madrid to see my buddies in Madrid. I will be. First stop is Germany. Actually, around Frankfurt is where I'm gonna kind of hang for a bit and wander off into different places. So that will be very, very fun. I'm actually looking for a place that I might be able to get to give me kind of a base that I can branch out from. Of course, I've got to leave every 90 days because I'm not applying for permanent residency, but that's okay. I think actually all I have to do now is go to the UK because of Brexit. They're not in the EU anymore. I think that might qualify, right? Just leave, hang out somewhere, come back. And we are planning some events in London also. Anyway, Jonas, love from Sweden, saying encouragement to GB. Lisa, hello, Lisa, my co-host, producer, and good friend. Love the what to do after retreat question. Great show topic. She's always on it for the show. What do I do now? I often will refer to it as the great retreat crash. In this case, it isn't. It's a floating, saying, is it okay that I'm still floating? The answer is yes. Just stay floating. Don't worry. Don't panic. Everything's under control. but you're not the one controlling it. So don't even have to be on duty. And then other people have that experience of coming off of a retreat, having that sense of flow and freedom and safety. And then something comes up, the button gets pushed, the trigger goes off, and they think, oh God, I totally messed up. It's terrible. I need another retreat and the like. That's another aspect of it that can be, again, it's simply we just haven't gotten enough experience yet at understanding how the mind works and how the nervous system works and how triggers work. And when it becomes a problem, it's because the mind has said it's a problem. And it's because we really have not quite yet understood the nature of conditioning and how that conditioning is not you. There's still a sense of identification with the conditioning. And that's okay. That'll be there for a while. This is what we're doing, is we're just breaking all of those associations and connections until you realize it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter how severely the nervous system gets triggered. It is not me. I am the witness of it. Being the witness of it, I don't even have to stop it. It doesn't even matter anymore. I don't have to now go on a mission to undo all my conditioning and to, hypnotherapy and NLP and all these trainings and stuff so I can redo you don't have to bother with it at all because it has nothing to do with you. And since it has nothing to do with you, nothing sustains it. And what it then does is it begins to adapt itself to you. It's the simplest way. The simplest way. Inner reconciliation is the simplest way to do that. God damn it. Listen to me. Hello from Madeira Island. Hello, Ursula. Mary, what a great opening. It's so true what you're saying. Great. Yes, it's the simplest direct truth is the one we don't want to accept. You are already that. Yeah, I know that. I get that intellectually, but I don't feel it. Well, so what? You are already that, and you are that feeling that. That's it. That's all there is to it. Yeah, but I still feel fear. And you are that feeling fear. That's it. Right? Oh, that's what fear feels like. Right? So it's not a problem, is it? It's just a feeling. You think anybody's going to get through life without feeling fear, without feeling disappointment, without having their heart broken, without having losses, without, without having doubts? And it's impossible. Right? But is the consciousness that makes all of those experiences possible, is that suffering? Is that afraid? Is that wigged out? Does it think it's having a problem? That is, do you? You simply believe the thought that says, I have a problem. And it's just a thought. It's just a thought. There's no problem. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. I once heard Mooji do a whole thing on it. It's nothing. It's not. Yeah, but what? It's nothing. Yeah, but what if I die? It's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. But what if I'm afraid? You're afraid. It's nothing. Nothing other than that. Merck, the troubleshooter deserves to take a lengthy vacation. Indeed it does. The whole nervous system. I experience it a lot working with people in inner reconciliation. When suddenly something lets go, the nervous system drops out of defensive posture, and the person either just completely slumps in total exhaustion because the system has been like this for so long, or all of a sudden there's this rush of energy, right? And that you don't know what to do with. There's this rush of creative energy because the defensive energy has now gone expressive, right? And you're not used to that. It's what we all want, but then when it happens, like, whoa, what do I do with all this? I'm going to explode. Yeah, you might. And if it happens, it's nothing. Oh, Mary, we're all getting caught up in the belief that we have something more to do to reach this. Yes, that's it. That's it. Yeah, I get that. Oh, okay. So, okay, I'm already that. I'm already that. I'm already that. Stop. Wait. I am already that. So every thought that says I'm not is simply wrong. Now, grasping that doesn't mean those thoughts are going to just stop, right? But if you really grasp it and you realize that every time that thought comes up, it's not true, it won't get your attention. It won't be engaging you. You won't think, I've got to read another book. I got to take this other class. I got to do something else, right? You won't be thinking that anymore. You won't be trying to find a solution anymore. You just, oh, it's just a thought. You go, okay, it's just a thought. And that completely takes all of its energy away, because if you don't believe it, it doesn't have any energy. Our belief sustains everything. Everything. Your belief is everything. Why? Because you're the truth. You are what is, right? You are not the appearance of something else. You are not somebody else's dream, right? You are not the creation of somebody else. You are what is. And therefore, whatever you say is becomes is because you said so. Right? And God said, let there be light. And there was light. Right? And Mary said, let there be light. And there was light. No? It is that. Right? The ego, the small sense of self, cannot accept the magnitude of it because, well, there's no problems to solve there. But what does happen is there's a transmutation of the mind that takes place as well. And it gets transformed into what in Buddhism is referred to as the great perfect mirror mind. And then you find that mind and consciousness are actually one. And that mind is the expressive mode of pure awareness, the pure absolute, which is motionless, which is the pure isness itself. And then isness known is what we call consciousness of I am or mind. Believing mind to be an independently functioning thing, thoughts that, I got to get rid of my thoughts, as if they were something other than you. But by deciding I've got to get rid of them, I create an entity where there isn't one. There's nobody there. It's just a thought. Beautiful. Oh, it's so gratifying to see you getting it. I don't have to worry about anything. Absolutely not. Hello, Steffi. Namaskaram. It's always mind-blowing that the simple act of shifting attention creates a whole new and different world. It's so easy to lose myself in worries. Yes, it is. For all of us. Yeah. Worries, problems, and stories. Yeah. They all come together. Yeah. The holy trinity of misery. Worries, problems, stories. Yeah. Every time I overcome the movie I see myself trapped in and don't identify with the actor anymore, I realize how beautiful life is and that it is to be celebrated. Yes, in every possible way. Indeed. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? That the misery and difficulty of any situation is completely in the perspective. There's no such thing as a difficult, worrisome, problem-laden, story-ridden circumstance. Those are all in the mind. The circumstance is always absolutely innocent and harmless. The rest is all in our mind. When you get that, it is always a release is a snap of the fingers away. Oh my God, I just created a drama, right? Or I was drawn into a drama against my will because I'm still, that salesman shows up and I'm still buying. God damn it. I keep buying that same old car. Wait a minute, you already sold me that car. Well, yeah, I know, but it was kind of a subscription. It wasn't actually a purchase, right? So it's time for the monthly renewal. But recognizing that, but of course, every time you pull yourself out quicker and quicker, and you just can't be drawn into the drama anymore until everything about the drama that disappears, including players in our life, right? Who were contributing to our own sensitivity to drama, which is always a manifestation of those unembraced parts of ourselves, those parts of us that are still wounded, that still believe the idea that our parents laid on us that there was something wrong with us, right? That you weren't enough, that you need to be better, you need to be fixed. We internalize those things. And then they keep popping up in our lives as circumstances and people until the opening starts to happen. Right? And nobody can predict when that is. Nobody knows when that is. All I can tell you that it's inevitable. And for everybody who is sitting here listening to me right now, it's already happened for you, or you couldn't possibly sit here for all this time and listen to me. Simple as that. If awakening has not already happened, you could not sit here and listen to me. My God, how many millions, billions of things are there on YouTube to watch? And you're sitting here watching this, right? Okay. Something inside has awakened. And in that awakening is automatically dismissing and letting go of the old patterns and the manifestation that arose out of them, recognizing those patterns in ourselves, those recurring things that says, oh, I'm not enough. Oh, maybe it's right. Maybe he's right. Oh, maybe she's right. Maybe maybe it is all my fault. Right. And those things kind of hook in for me. Wait a minute. This is bullshit. This isn't true. And the whole thing gets rejected out of hand. And then what happens? Everything shifts. And when that's shifting inside, the external circumstances cannot help but shift. And it's something else that fits now the unsought awakening that is happening and is much more suited to it. It becomes expressive of it. So thank you for that, Steffi. Facebook user, I'm an ordinary person. So am I. So is Buddha. Buddha actually said that. The ordinary human being is the Buddha. Right? It's nothing special. Right? Embrace your ordinariness. The difference between the enlightened one and the unenlightened one is the enlightened one completely embraces their ordinariness. They have no interest in anything extreme or special or having great powers. Nisargadatta beautifully said it about his own process of enlightenment. He said, I experienced all the yogic powers and I washed them off. There is no greatness in spiritual power. Wow. How many people have been seduced by the cities, I want to levitate, I want to have special powers, I want to have healing powers, or more mundane, I want to manifest whatever I want. I have experienced all the yogic powers and I have washed them off. I sought that for a while. I was a healer for a while. I could do that. It came very easily. And I went, wait a minute, something's wrong. Something's off here. Started getting identified with it. People were coming. They were coming because they just wanted me to fix their lives. They really didn't want the truth. Christ made the same statement. He said, They're not coming for the truth. They're coming for the loaves and fishes. They're coming for the miracles. They're not coming for the truth. And of course, those same people, he had hundreds of disciples for a while. They all left. Why? Because they didn't really want the truth, right? People don't want God. They want heaven, right? If God brings heaven, good. We got a deal. We got it. Oh yeah, I'm in, right? Right. But what if God was just this, ordinary, nothing special, no roads paved with gold, right? No heavenly mansions, right? Yeah. No everything you could ever want. What if it wasn't that at all? What if it was this? The total embracing of your humanity. When the embrace is total, that is the awakening of the heart. Awakening the mind is one thing. Awakening the heart is another thing altogether. That's when the heart breaks so thoroughly that everything gets in. There's nothing but light. Thank you, Facebook user. Mary Sykes, I've literally scared the hell out of myself over this. Yes, the endless searching. The seeking is a process that we all go through. It's a phase we all have to go through, right? So somebody can say, oh, okay, I'm not seeking anymore. I'm going to stop seeking, which is, of course, a doing. You're still seeking, right? Okay, now I'm not going to do this anymore. It doesn't work. Nothing will work that way. It's not natural, is it? Right? It just feels weird, right? This all comes from realization. It comes from seeing, right? And the seeing itself will begin to undo all the thought processes that were based on the perpetual seeking. So you don't have to try to stop it. You simply become a very honest, a very vigilant, and there's a word I'm looking for, very perceptive seer, right? The seer, the one who sees that which actually is. And notice that that's really effortless. And in that seeing, something internally supports you. And then the seeing will happen and it will trigger some old stuff coming up, right? But when the seeing is thorough, you go, oh, of course it is. I was raised as a fundamentalist Christian, right? Therefore, this fear of hell is going to come up, right? This fear of the ultimate punishment is going to come up. But wait a minute. Okay, I see now. Yeah. I'll just be present with that. And the mind goes, yeah, but what if? What if? And you go, well, if God is going to punish me for being honest, for genuinely seeking truth, and I was told that God is truth, well, then that's a whacked out God. It's just whacked. I could do a better job. Sorry. I know I'd mess it up big time, but I could do a better job than that. I really could. And just the seeing of it. And with it comes this feeling of embracing all, the innocence of all. And I begin, wow, this is what Christ really meant. This is what he really meant. Total forgiveness. Not conditional at all. A forgiveness that didn't even depend on you had to accept it. Right? No, you don't. Don't. When you accept that total forgiveness, you experience it fully, but it's there. There's no punishment awaiting anybody except the punishment we give ourselves through our own ignorance. That's it. Welcome to wisdom. Welcome to the most gentle path there is. Ido Idison, hello. Greetings from Bradford, UK. Hello, Ido. Emiliano, hi, GP. Do you have any idea what is the mechanism behind the collapse of the wave function and the observer's role? Yeah, I happen to know what it is. Because it is a manifestation of mind. And therefore, it has no absolute definition in and of itself. And so we get really baffled because our idea is that there's something fixed about these things. And when they show up, they're not fixed. and the relationship of the observer and the observed, and it shows up in what is in fact a very primitive form, because it's just two states, right? Particle or wave, and different waveforms, and all the different kinds of ways it expresses itself. We're kind of nonplussed by it because we assume that it has an inherent existence separate from me that I'm looking at, because I don't know that I'm actually looking at my own mind, and it will be whatever I think it is. Period. End of story. It's a radical point of view, I know, but I'm being radical today. I don't feel like being relative today. I don't feel like being the level 1 teacher. What all of these experiments are pointing at is that we're looking in the wrong place for what is absolutely true. We keep taking matter apart in smaller and smaller particles until there's no particles left. We go, well, there's no particles left. So the whole model of atoms, little tiny billiard balls that fit together. Well, that doesn't work. Okay, now we have field. We got a field. Stuff appears to be coming out of nowhere. It's empty space, right? Well, maybe it isn't empty space. What the hell is it, right? But the last thing they will admit, the last possibility they will consider is that it is not an external thing at all, that you're looking at consciousness. You're looking at a reflection of yourself. And therefore, if it's a reflection of yourself, it's going to show up completely dependent upon me. And look, you experience that every day. Yeah, we see it at wave function and observer, because we believe we've created an environment which is totally objective, and we're going to see what's actually there. There's no such thing as an objective environment. There's no such thing as something separated from your perception of it. It simply doesn't exist. Look at your whole life all day long. One day you feel great and everything looks great. Everything seems to be flowing smoothly. The next day you get up, you're grumpy. Everything is grumpy. Everything, your computer breaks, right? Everything falls apart. You miss your exit on the highway. You're late for the meeting. What's the difference, right? What's the difference? It's the same day, right? That is, the same kind of things are going on, and yet your entire world is different. The entire range of your experience is different. The reality of this, which is our everyday experience, manifests itself at the most fundamental levels. The smallest particle you can imagine, and whatever makes that up in the whole field, is also the self. It is consciousness made manifest. There is nothing else. There's nothing else. Nothing. Zero. It's all you. But the you it is all of is the self, not a bunch of selves. What appears as me, what appears as you, what appears your friends, your spouse, your lover, your employers, your employees, the people you work with, theater, they are all different faces on one soul. The soul is the self, and you are already that. You are the self, right? Knowing itself and knowing a whole world from a particular perspective. That perspective is what you would call your individuality. And so you experience yourself from a perspective, but you never stop being the self. You are the self. You are now, you were, you're going to be. So you can just kind of come home to where you never left. You never left. Ido says, no thinking required. Nope, none. You do not need to think to be. It is a secondary function. Useful. I like it. But it's not necessary. And in fact, it needs to be set aside in order for that recognition to take place, because the recognition is not intellectual. It is not conceptual. It is direct. You know that you are, right? You don't even need any explanation of it. And knowing that, and really abiding as that knowing, where there are no opposites, is what just puts the creativity of mind and its power of expression, puts on steroids. You find you have no limits anymore. Merck's GP's pointing is so sharp, we should all wear protective clothing or take all the clothing off, right? Take the piercing. Take the piercing. Why waste time? Jay, my good buddy Jay, my little brother. Hari OMG and everyone, late to class, but here now. Have you heard of Jordan Peterson? If you have, what do you think of his approach to certain topics like gender roles? I do. I have heard. I've listened. Oh boy, I don't like to criticize people, but I don't think anyone should listen to him. Those of you who are familiar with Gabor Mate, who I highly respect, and I know many of you have heard him, he was asked that question about Jordan Peterson. And unlike me, he was really quite willing to go into it. He said, I'd really love to talk to him. He referenced, if you look at the discussions on his site and stuff, they're very angry. They're very hostile. And his comment about him was he is an agent of suppression masquerading as a libertarian. It's a very narrow point of view. It's a very narrow Western capitalist view of things, and that's really all I'm going to say about it. I do not recommend it. People ask me about that, and I say I don't agree with some of the things he says. I can agree with. There's an energy behind it that I find to be duplicitous. So I'll leave it at that, and I've even said more than I should. Because I now know I'm going to get a lot of nasty comments when somebody watches this. I should have kept my mouth shut. Oh, well, it's got a lot of fans. It's got more fans than I do. All right. Anyway, there it is. I did it. I broke my own rule. Oh boy. I'm not going to get through all these. Let's see. Thank you. Good evening. I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm scrolling and all of a sudden it jumps to the bottom, right? And I forget where I am and I try to go through in order. All righty. Collapse. Jordan Peterson pointing. Peter, there we are. Good evening, everyone. Blessings from Italy. Peter, where in Italy are you? South of Italy is one of the destinations I've had in mind as a place ultimately to live. I don't know where I'm going to live. I might not stick around for too long. I had to pull a 13-hour. Thank you for clarifying my observation that week about my effortless self. Good. You're welcome, Jay. Namaste from Kiran. Hendrik in south of Germany. Namaste from Isabel. Oh, Patricia, my musical friend. Hello from Los Angeles. Truth Loops. Hello, brothers and sisters. Going through very difficult times now. Haven't been able to sleep for a few days. Please think of me. Yeah. Here's the deal. Don't make it into a problem. Okay? It's not. Sometimes some really extraordinary and difficult things, they feel difficult, have to happen in order for an absolutely positive transformation to take place. So the life knows what it's doing. The self knows what it's doing. So just don't say it's a problem. It's not a problem. I haven't been able to sleep in several days. Okay. All that means is you haven't been able to sleep in a few days. That's all it means, right? It's not a problem, right? Recognize that, right? Yes, it may feel kind of weird. You may not have the same kind of energy. Your concentration may be suffering, but without the thought it's a problem, none of that is a problem, right? Really, please take that to heart, because it can end all of your suffering. Because suffering comes when the mind says this is a problem, right? If you don't believe it, right? And if you don't believe it long enough, the mind will stop saying it, because it only says it because it gets your attention. like a little kid, right? Hey, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's okay. It's okay. Eventually, they just be quiet, as will the mind. So it's not a problem. I just haven't been able to sleep for a few days. It's happened to me too. There have been times, it happens very often. All of a sudden, I'll wake up at 2 a.m. That's it. I'm up. Okay. What am I going to do? Sometimes there'll be a nap that happens in the afternoon. Sometimes not. Right? I don't control it. It's not up to me. And so, but I don't consider it a problem. Right? Simple as that. Remember, if the thought, this is a problem, never occurred to you, just never occurred to you, would it be a problem? The answer is no, it wouldn't. It would just be an event. Beautiful. Thank you, Truth Loops. Anja, just listening to you, I feel the weight lifting. Yay. Yay. Because the weight is imaginary. The weight is the mind. Oh, it's people reaching out to Truth Loops. Can you say that karma is just the momentum of your habits? Yes, you could say karma is that. Karma is that. Yeah, conditioning, take conditioning, extend it over multiple lifetimes, and you have karma. Simple as that. Just patterns repeating themselves, right? But don't give them any power, because there actually isn't anything to form a pattern. Even that is a mental conception. Conditioning is a concept. You could see that it isn't real either. The mind isn't real. The ego isn't real. None of these are real. We give them a name. They seem to become an entity. Oh, there's this thing called, the ego. I've got to overcome the ego. How do you overcome the ego? You see that it doesn't exist. There isn't one. It's just a thought. There's no actual thing there. It's a thought. There's no more of a thought, a thing there, than if you have a picture in your mind of Bugs Bunny or a rhinoceros in a tutu, right? It's just a thought. There's nothing there. The ego is just a thought. Karma is just a thought. Bad habits are just a thought. Conditioning is just a thought. The body is just a thought. None of it is real. What's real? You. You are. There's no doubt about that. You actually are, aren't you? You're not somebody's thought. You actually exist. Oh, I am. And so here all the scientists are breaking down everything that appears to find out what is. And I'm sitting here going, I am. I am what is. Well, what do you know? I'm what they're looking for. Actually, they're what they're looking for. Stop believing our own stories, lies, says Mary. Yes, just stop believing them. They're not true, right? But it's important. There's momentum behind it, right? Well, what if it is? What if God really is angry at you? What if there is a hell? And there's parts of us where that fear has been so programmed into us. And then we can realize that's the only reason these religious traditions survived, because they made me afraid. If I have to be afraid of God, then God is not lovable. Right? I will worship, I will obey, but I cannot love. Right? So even in heaven, I'll spend my whole life. It'll be okay because I know I've passed all the tests and God isn't going to do anything bad to me anymore. Right? But what happens 10,000 years from now and I'm an angel, but I get a bad idea? Happened to Satan. Oh my God, it could happen to me. Oh my God. Realize how absolutely nuts that thinking is. Mary, you're the best. Daniel Bombastic. How does healing trauma tie in with self-abidance? Oh, lovely question. Lovely question. Our traumas, early traumas, are what created our conditioning. And in that conditioning, I'm referring to habitual patterns of emotion, habitual patterns of sensation, habitual patterns of thinking, habitual patterns of reaction and behavior. These make up the sum total of kind of the container that became our lives. What was allowed to be expressed and what wasn't, right? The container that determined what we could be and what we couldn't. That is, what I was allowed to be and what I wasn't. Existentially, we got the idea of a sense of self, and it became now not just what I was allowed, but what I was. So the sense of identity turned it into simply, this is what I can be, I can do now, what's allowable for me to exhibit now, and this isn't allowable. It became, this is what I am. So it became identity, right? So now I became my conditioning. I am my conditioned self. So it's not just a behavior I was forced into or trained into, it's what I am. It's very subtle. This is the identity. This is how it works. And this becomes so ingrained to us that we don't even question it. Oh, this is just the way I am. Right? Then we set about trying to improve that which I am without actually questioning it at its essence, at its root. Now, along comes, you're fortunate enough, it's auspicious enough that into your life comes the introduction of the idea of awakening, enlightenment, true being, non-dual being. And the process of by which this becomes understood is through self-inquiry, self-abidance, right? Which is really allowing my sense of self to come out of the conditioning and into abiding as I actually am. But as I really am is not a concept. It's not an idea, right? But all of our training has really been conceptual, right? And so this is where the self-abidance becomes more negation. Okay, I'm not that. That is just a conditioned pattern. Now, seeing conditioning as conditioning, and then allowing yourself to not fight with the conditioning or not try to push it away. It is just conditioning. It's all part of this. So I can begin to embrace it. I can begin to create a different container. The container that formed all of these patterns that I later identified with came from simply not being safe. So now, seeing it as it is, I can begin to create a container that is safe. And what happens? That's where the healing comes. That's where traumatic healing takes place, right? All of that makes the entire system increasingly flexible and malleable and cooperative. And so the resistance, even to the deepest kind of self-inquiry, begins to go down. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go through that process of, that's basically inner reconciliation, creating a new container in which you can begin to adapt to it. You don't have to do that in order to be with the self-abidance. It has simply been my experience that if I cover both ends of that, the self-abidance and self-inquiry, and this process of creating a new container, that it seemed to be the most direct way to get people to the place where they can actually begin to entertain the depth of that question, who am I? It's not an absolute necessity, right? It's just, I've just found, especially in our modern world and the particular way in which things are right now, and the kind of the clutter in the psychic atmosphere, that it is the best way to get there, which is why I do the courses on inner reconciliation, which you can check out. I'll put that up again. This is the upcoming training. It is an 8-week intensive, so it is more expensive. I have home study courses that you can get that aren't as expensive. I got free video. Evan and I will be doing a demonstration video on Thursday, so you can learn about that process. I've just found that it eases the resistance that makes the inquiry there's less contending with it, and you can just kind of sink into it. So hopefully that's a help, Daniel. Sally Ann, I'm looking forward to the training course. This is wonderful. I'm looking forward to having you, Sally. Sally is probably going to be a teacher of inner reconciliation at some point. Her level of dedication and perception is really great. So happy to, because I want teachers. I want great gurus. I don't want followers. I want all of you to surpass me. Just leave me in the dust. I'm fine. Medzik boy, what are you drinking, bro? One of my favorite things is this is yerba mate. I learned about it when I spent a lot of time in Argentina. I found out about this, and it usually is from the gourd, but the gourd broke, so I just put it in a cup now. And yerba mate. I sometimes will put in a little honey, sometimes coconut oil, and things like that. So that's my the beverage I really like, and I just love the bombisha. Michael Cerveni, how are you, sir? How is it possible to put off awakening if the ego isn't even real and awakening has nothing to do with the person? Isn't it from the idea of a person? Perfect. You can't put off awakening, right? The idea that you can will create the experience as if you were putting it off. But awakening is not an event. It is that which is watching what is happening, right? You don't put off being conscious, do you? That's it. That's all there is to it, right? From an experiential point of view, there's a moment at which there's a recognition that I am awake, right? There's a moment recognition that consciousness is myself. It is myself. And so awakening becomes not an event in time, but this theme that is actually imminent in every experience you have, because every experience you have requires consciousness in order to have it. And so it's a simple shift of perception that recognizes that the active ingredient in all experience is consciousness, and I am that. But you can't put it off. You can't. So if you think you can, when you think you can put it off, it means you think that it's the result of some process. I've got to meditate. I've got to do this kind of inquiry, and I've got to take these classes, and I've got to do this kind of stuff. Then you're turning it into an event. If it's an event that has a cause, I do this and this, and then awakening results, then awakening isn't now, which means it too is an event that took place, which means it had a beginning, which means it has an end, which means it cannot be the truth. What is has no beginning, has no end. It is the truth now. You are that now. So no, there's no you to put off awakening. It's just a thought, right? It's a thought that the awakening is an event, that there is someone who is awakening, and there isn't, right? And so that image of someone, right? Here's the awakened reality looking at a dream of someone trying to wake up. All of which being witnessed by the awakeness, consciousness, pure being, right? Couldn't be any other way. But, this is a very interesting, it's a story about a seeker and how they're waking up. What a great story. It's a Buddha story. Wow, what a great story. I like this movie. I like it. But that's all it is. It's all it is. You even see that even the awakening is in the dream. That you are never asleep. You are that already. Oh, I see. Yes. Trutha was saying she's been dealing with the effects of a mold toxicity and have respiratory problems as well as other symptoms. It's been taking a toll. Yeah, good. Make sure you're getting all the care you need. The water, the right nutrition, and the right and good food and the like, and then let the body do what it needs to do, right? And if that means it can't sleep for a while because it's got a lot to do, then you're just going to let it do it. Yes, that makes a lot more sense now that you gave me some more information about that, Truth Loops, and thank you for asking, Jay. Believe me, yes, yeah, it sucks in the middle of it. But even put aside that idea, right? It's a nightmare, right? Yeah, it's obviously it's not what we prefer, but don't create any story about it. Just be purely present with all of the sensations and feelings that are going on, and don't let the mind create more suffering than the unnecessary suffering. Don't let it lay anything extra on top of the experience. Yeah, the experience is difficult, but I'm not even want to call it difficult. Just let it be pure experience, and just feel all of the support and love that is there for you, and all of the hearts that right now are opening, the prayers that are going to you right now as people are reading it and hearing me talk about it. Just feel all that energy. And again, just don't let the mind say this is a problem, it's a nightmare, this shouldn't be happening, blah, blah, blah. None of that's true, right? None of that is true. And just let yourself be fully present with what's happening as it is, including, yep, I'm ready for this to be over. I'm ready for this to be over. Let that be there too. Just don't take sides. Thank you for that. Play on, AG and all greetings from Sweden. Awakening. I'm so blessed, Satsang, with both my dearest teacher on the same day. So beautiful you took part in the retreat too, GP. I take part in all of the retreats with Muji. He is my teacher. Yes. And as I say, I see myself as a bodhisattva. He is a Buddha. I am there to get the message of the Buddha. The bodhisattva is obviously, Bodhi is an awakened being. But in the Buddhist tradition, it is another phase gone through before full Buddhahood. And in truth, there are no levels. There's nothing but Buddhahood, right? But I say that, and I put it in those terms as kind of a reduction, just so that people don't think of me as more than I actually am, right? I'm just a guy who fell in love with the truth, who had some experiences that he didn't seek and didn't deserve, right? And ended up here, right? And when people ask questions, answers happen, right? That's all there is to it. And I love the role of the bodhisattva because it is one that is still humbly in service of their master, and at the same time is in the service of humanity. So, beautiful, 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 beautiful. Lisa, thank you for addressing the pullback of being a seeker. Yes, it's very important because the mind is more than able to approximate the non-dual language and turn it into yet another identity, right? Oh, I'm not the seeker now. Oh, okay, I got to stop seeking. Stop seeking. Right? I got to be the seeker. Oh, oh my God, I got to do this yoga pose. Okay. Ow, 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 ow. No, I got it. I got to meditate for 3 hours. Oh God, it hurts. All I can think about is the pain. I mean, all of these things are absurd. They're they're great ideas, but they've never actually met a real human being. So Jonah says, Lisa, thank you for being you. My bubbly Lisa. Yes, wonderful. Happy to be here together. So am I. So sorry to hear that truth. It was a concern for us when we used to live in an apartment. Ah, right. Jay is just being the big-hearted Jay that he is with Truth Loops. Evan and GP are gentle yet poignant pointers. Yeah, it's gentle, but it's still sharp. My sword is sharp. Yeah, I don't want to leave anything left. Yeah, we're going to remove all of the growth. Robo GP. Isabel, so why do I need a body to know me and find me if all I look for inside is me? And I'm in Florida. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Isabel, don't think of the body as this this problem, right? But we don't want to identify with it, right? It's the form. Music doesn't identify with one piece. It says, the only kind of music there is polka. I mean, imagine if that's what music did, right? Or it was, kiddie pop or something, right? Oh my God. Oh my God. Or national anthem songs, right? If music said that's all there's music, right? The body is just simply a mode of expression. So you and every mode of expression, requires some kind of a form. So the body has its role, it has its necessity, but it's not you. The problem is that we've become identified with it. We've narrowed our sense of self down to a particular body, which is why I need to turn your attention in to look for you that is working through the body, but is not limited to it, right? That's the liberation of the sense of self. And that's so you don't need a body to know who you are. No, absolutely not. The body is there to express who you are, right? If I'm identified with the body, I've forgotten who I am, and therefore my expression has been limited. And that's what I feel is the limitation on my life, the limitations on experience, the not being able to fully love and to fully laugh and to fully enjoy things. Because I've identified with the body, I feel contained by it, right? So it's necessary for expression, just like the pianist needs a piano in order to play, but it's not who the pianist is. And there's a whole bunch of pianos that the pianist can play, and they'll play different ones in different places, and the song will sound different depending on where it is. So the turning within, you do not need the body. Matter of fact, you have to let go of the body to discover who you are. Once you do that, now you can bring the body back in and enjoy it and use it for what it's for. Let it change over time and eventually just let it fall away. Maybe you have another one, maybe not. It's up to you. Hopefully that answers it for you, Isabella. I want to establish a loving relationship with it, but not one of dependence, right? You're not dependent upon it, right? You don't need to express yourself to be yourself, right? But that self-expression simply happens. It's not a need. You don't have to. Nothing mandates. You are 100% free. But out of that freedom, it just happens all by itself. And it's effortless, and you don't think anything of it, and it's not a containing. And eventually you find that all forms, but human, animal, plants, mineral, the whole universe is your body. It is the vehicle of your self-expression. You don't have to try to go there right away, but that's what it is. Marguerite. Hello, Marguerite. Hello from France. GP, you often talk about we humans are destroying the world, but isn't everything awareness, and isn't awareness itself that causes the fire and floods and wars? Well, I can't be the absolutist that says, well, it's all God, it's all no problem to let everything off the hook, because there's a lot of fear around it. And I do think we are being invited to discover, look, if you look at the consequences of your actions, you'll learn shit, right? I did this, this happened. I'm not doing that again, right? And this, for the first time ever, humanity as a whole has to come to terms with humanity as a whole. We're not isolated anymore. We cannot see it as just ourselves. And so what we're experiencing in the world is the human ego magnified 8 billion times, right? And the various systems and the growing sense of tyranny. And in order for us to truly wake up universally, we must be confronted with the consequences of our own actions with no way out. Right? No guarantee everything's going to be fine. Aliens aren't going to come. Jesus isn't going to come. This wonderful thing's not going to happen. We are pushed right to the edge. And hasn't that happened to you personally in your own life? Oh, things are supposed to be going like this. Oh, everything's beautiful and pure awareness. And then whack. Where did that come from? Yes, Everything is pure awareness happening in pure awareness. And if the entire world was to be completely destroyed through environmental disaster, or nuclear holocaust, or a comet coming and hitting it, the whole thing, awareness would be sitting there witnessing it and would be completely untouched. That's the truth. To discover that truth, right, is the whole point, right? And at some point, this universe is going to collapse in on itself or just expand beyond the point where it can be maintained. In what 10 billion years, the sun is going to basically expand to 5 times its size, or more. I don't know. So anyway, basically, the first 4 planets, all the way through Mars, gone, just gone, right? Completely vaporized. They're part of the sun, which will then contract back on itself. So even in cosmic time, everything has a beginning and an ending, and that's what is to be discovered. But when you look at it from the point of view of personal realization of Buddha nature, then these kinds of events, just like they happen in our personal life, untoward events in our own lives, force us into being consciously aware of ourselves. They force us out of the illusion of a separate self into the genuine inquiry into our true nature. That's the purpose of suffering, and we're just seeing it on a scale now where there's really, we've run out of moves, and we're constantly being bombarded with it. It's everywhere, because everyone right now on the planet individually is having the experience of the breakdown of the egoic mind and the invitation to awakening. And that's happening on an individual basis, right? That is manifesting itself as what appears to be a universal experience of it. But the fact is, it is happening individually, but it is happening on such a scale that it is literally shifting the entire surface of the earth. Right? And that's the nature of consciousness, because everything is in and made of consciousness. And consciousness now is literally like the snake shedding its skin, is shedding any remaining connection with the material sense of being, the sense of a separate self. And that shedding, and when a snake sheds its skin, that's why the snake has universally been regarded as the symbol of perpetual eternal life. Not the deceiver as it became in the West, which is a twist, which is a really distorted twist. It was the shedding of one life for another. But the snake, it isn't just this nice clean thing. They crawl out of ta-da, new thing, and off they go. There's stuff stuck on them, so they're like crawling through rocks and sticks and stuff, tight spaces to scrape off the rest of the skin. That's what we're doing. That's what's happening, because there are a metaphor for consciousness, and so you can just take it really very, very personally. I personally am confronted now within my individual consciousness, a world in distress. And what do I do with that? Right? I just take that very much into myself, my own personal experience of it, and I use myself to transmute it. And one of the things that comes out of me doing that is this. The opportunity to speak directly to consciousness, talking to consciousness about consciousness as consciousness. Because I'm not talking to bodies. I'm not talking to this microphone up here. I'm talking to you, consciousness. I'm just going to have to scan through here because it's 2.5 hours now. Better to exist fully in me. Yeah. Yes, Isabel, just don't worry about the body. right? Just let your attention come to you. Be with the you that is aware of the body. This is the shift inward. And then eventually we can turn back out and I can tell you all the rest of the stuff about the body, which is fascinating stuff. Renak, thanks for making it clear about the law of attraction. Such nonsense. Yes, unfortunately, yeah, it's done more harm than good. Is karma then only in the relative world? Karma is reincarnation without karma. Somebody else, they're kind of collecting together some things here about different stuff. Question of karma, was idea of karma created to instill fear? Yeah, remember, none of these things were created on purpose. They're states of mind that grew and then people believed them, and it seems like there's intention behind them. There isn't. There's no intention behind any of it. That's why there's nobody to blame. You know, we can't go looking for the Illuminati, right? Because if there is an Illuminati, they're just a bunch of people with the same state of mind, and that state of mind is messed up. It's egoically based. That's it. This is why we can't pinpoint something to solve all the problems, because it's a state of mind. If it's a state of mind, I have to simply extricate it from myself. And in so doing, I've opened the door for it to be extricated from others, because I truly understand what it is. So karma only applies to me if I identify myself as a separate self. And if I identify myself as a separate self, that is, I am the body, this body dies, what happens? Well, if I'm a materialist, I did not exist before, I will not exist. It will be oblivion, right? So if there, right, so there'll be nothing at all. I mean, utter nothing. Now, nobody on earth can actually imagine that, right? Which should be an indication that maybe it's not so. And then we try to imagine what is afterwards. But when we imagine what's afterwards, we're always imagining it in terms of our identification with the body. So either going to be some kind of an ephemeral body, right? I won't be old anymore, of course. I'm going to go to heaven. I'm going to get a young body again, so I'm going to look hot, right? I'm going to be cool. I'll have six-pack abs again, and big guns, right? Or I'll be, shapely and nothing be sagging anymore, right? So that's we imagine that, which is really just an extension of the body. Again, this ephemeralized now in heaven, or a bunch of different bodies, right? But can you see they're all ideas of perpetuity based on the concept of a body. And out of that becomes karma and why this body and why these events took place. So we get these very elaborate things, all to try to explain what was never true in the first place. You're not the body. It's a form of thought. It's a thought or consciousness made known. Right? So you take that out of the equation and karma just kind of goes puff, right? So yeah, there can be a series of bodies, but none of them are me. Like I have a series of dreams at night, a whole bunch of them, and they're all different. And next night I have different ones. The next night I have different ones. On and on it goes. I have all sorts of different experiences of life. I've been through a whole bunch of different bodies so far, right? It's turning over all the time. Right. So it becomes conceptual because it's simply, I'm trying to hold on to a personal identity that is identified with a form. So I'm just trying to imagine a different form. You aren't a form. You can't conceive of yourself. Right? So Isabel asked the question, beautiful. Oh, thank you. How can I take your course and have access to your stuff to help? Well, that is the course that's coming up. It is it's a preparation. It's a kind of a level 1 for going in depth. And for those who want to become facilitators, learn how to do this for others. It's a prerequisite. It's not a requirement at this level that you want to become a facilitator. We've opened this one up. I have done others where I've interviewed people and like this one. It's wide open, but it is an in-depth. So it is more expensive because it's 2 months of both time for me and Evan. But there's also inner reconciliation. I have 3 levels of home study courses where I go every single detail of how all of this works. There are a lot of free videos that I have as well. So there's something to fit in every budget. Both Evan and I still do some private sessions. Evan does more than I do. I have a certain amount of time I will dedicate to private sessions that I can actually work with you in that. In the process of inner reconciliation, I also will teach you how to guide meditation and how to do EFT and things like that. So that one will get you to there. On my site, I've got stuff about inner reconciliation with a link over to the classroom where you can purchase the various courses, different price points. So I try to cover the whole range, everything from free up to a formal training. And then eventually there'll be training for training trainers. I'll be training teachers, which is what my ultimate objective is. And hopefully in the next, in 2022, there'll be some live events going on, some live retreats. Certainly yes, probably first in Europe, a place nice central. Frankfurt's a nice central place, so that might be there. But I'll also be making a trip over to England. We're trying to set some stuff up at a place called Alternatives to give a talk and some workshops there. But I'm looking forward to live stuff again. I just love having the live room happening. Right? My days when I used to perform all the time. So hopefully that answers your question. Everybody else's as well. This will take you to my site, that gpwalsh.com/IRFFF. And there's all the information that's on my site if that program is too much, but I always try to make it work. So I'd love to have people there. There's all sorts of people who have done it before, the private group that I have. I don't know if I've got a link to that, but you can go over to Facebook/groups/GP Walsh. I have a private group. It's got students of mine. It's got some facilitators of mine. And I'm there. And Lisa's there, and Evan is there, and lots of people to help. There's people. Penny is kind of organizing some additional outside stuff with everybody who wants to do it. So there's an enormous amount of support for people who want to walk with me down this path for as long as you want to walk, right? So there we go. Oh, creative everything. Every evening, everyone tuning in late. Hello, Susanna, my creative rebel. Joanne McCann, I'm not that educated, and I do not class myself as clever, but I'm clever knowing someone is energy. So that speaks volumes to me, and somehow I understand what you say. Beautiful. I just get what you say. Yes, because it isn't in the words. The words carry the word, right? The message is not the words itself. It is the energy behind them. It's just like I played pieces on the piano, and some I did pretty well, and others I kind of did, right? There's a lot of pieces I had to learn. Part of the repertoire. It's part of what you have to do when you're taking piano. But then, years later, I'd hear a master, an Arthur Rubinstein or a Horowitz or a Glenn Gould play one of the things I played. I almost didn't recognize it. Oh my God, that's right. That's the same. Oh, geez. All of that was in there and I didn't see it because they just, the power of expression was coming through them. And so the potential of the music, the potential of the art just shone through. And that's what this is all about. The true teacher gets themselves out of the way as much as so, to the point where they're not even there anymore. There is no teacher there anymore. It's just the energy of truth, of your truth in you, communicating your truth to you, although it just appears to be somebody sitting out here. And the only reason it appears to be there is because you just haven't yet accepted the fact that you already have it. You are already that. So until you do, there'll be some teacher out here talking to you. And then the moment you get that teacher disappears. disappears. It's the story of Christ on the road to Emmaus. And they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the student's really ready, the teacher disappears. Because you don't really need us. Because I'm not really a teacher. I'm just a guy up here that says whatever comes to his mind. Voices, you're so lovely, GC. Such a kind, gentle, human, beautiful presence. Not all speakers of non-duality and spiritual teachers or guides are like you. I love spending time with you. Thanks. Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. The ones that I am drawn to are like me. My teacher's like me, Muji. I mean, I'm like him, basically. That's more accurate. He's got that humanness, right? And you can see it. He's powerful, and he's a living Buddha. But then you'll see him cry over something. You just see him shed a tear about something that's so beautiful. Just kind of like, want to reach out and go, just throw questions away and just come be with me. Let's have tea. You can see that element in him, which is why I was drawn to him as the teacher. But I see it in others as well. I see that kind of humanity in a handful, not many, but thank you. And you're seeing it because that's you. That is the reality of you. And so it's resonating with you. So I'm simply reflecting you back to you, and we are all one in this. So I'd love to go on a retreat with Muji and you too. Are you going to Portugal? Where are you? Did you say? Oh, you live in Florida. Every time I've tried to go to Portugal, something has happened. And last time COVID happened. Yeah. So yes, at some point, I definitely want to be there. It's also another place I'm looking at to try to get permanent residence in Europe, because they're very open to Americans. So. Waking auf. Yes, this death topic has been ongoing in me as long as I can remember. So beautiful what you're sharing. You're welcome. Thanks for going for the juggler. You're welcome. Coming face to face with the impermanence of all things changes one's perspective of everything. The impermanence of all things except one. And that's you. Deathless you. Merck, yes, individual can't be divided. Individual. Yes, indivisible. Cannot be divided. Beautiful. T-shirt available. Individual can't be divided. There's my. We're growing a list of GP T-shirts. Air Jeep. And I do not want to manifest my death anytime soon, but it's strange that a part of me is getting prepared to depart with. That's good. When you're in Liverpool, wonderful. I have somebody else. Sean is in. No, he's. Who else? I have somebody else in Liverpool. Anyway, that's good. You know, in Buddhism, they start them early meditating on death. You're meditating on impermanence, right? Because it's a constant thing. It's going all the time. And at some point, everything you know will fall away. It's fact. Okay. So what do we do now? Oh, all right. Good. Let's ponder that. What would it be like? And I actually even have a meditation I call the eternity in between lives. There's a meditation. I think it might be on my website, but I think it's on. I did a bit on YouTube as well. And it is that exploration of just what happens when you completely let it go. This life just falls away. Everything, all of it, all your friends, neighbors, loves, everything gone. Memories, they fade. Right? Expectations, ambitions, desires, credit cards, gone. All of it just faded away. You know, just like 99.999% of your life that was going on when you were 10 is gone. Gone. You don't even have memories of it, right? That's all this is. You know, all the friends you had, your bestie when you were 12, right? Gone. Pop up every now and then, like maybe as a memory, right? This is just the way it is. But when you discover the reality of you, the immortal, the timeless you discover the timeless of everyone. So nobody's ever gone. everything is always changing shape. It is all me. And that all me is not an isolated, lone thing. It is the infinite being of all. And suddenly it is just this sweet departure and reunion at the same time, all the time. Everything has infinite value, infinite rarity, infinite preciousness. So it becomes fleeting and eternally present at the same time. It's just impossible for me to put it into words. Lisa, is there such thing as, I'm just going to keep going here. I don't know why. I just feel like keep going. So, webcams, chat.com, hot girls and boys. Okay, well, if any of you are interested in that, block the user. I get those all the time, the comments on that. Gee, I love it. It's great. And they give you a link to some porno shop. And probably twice a day, I get a friend request on Facebook, from some scantily clad 20-year-old girl, right? It's like, oh yeah, I know they really want to be my friend. It's so funny. Okay. I am the law, I am the way. Beautiful. Is there such a thing as respect or even honor if we're not our perceptions and simply experiencing them? Yes, because now you experience the reality of them. And the reality of them is the self and myself. And then the nature of love is the oneness of love expressing itself as two, because they have to have two to have an expression of love. But there's not really two. It's the one that is simply experiencing itself as other for the ecstasy of experiencing love known. And so you're not the perceptions. You are the self. You are that which is having the ultimate experience. And what's its experience? It's experiencing itself. And how does it experience itself? It experiences itself by creating a universe of it would appear to be in a bunch of infinite number of beings, but they are all just simply manifestations of being. And so there's nothing but love, which respect and honor, because what is it? I look at you, I see God. I see myself. How can I not love that? I see my hand. I like my hand. I got nothing against my hand, right? I see you. I like you. I got nothing against you, right? Because you're me. That's the nature of love. It is the unity. It is the oneness. But this is not a oneness that is an absence of anything else. It is not a numeric one, right? One as opposed to many. It is the beingness of one. It is the self of all. All is the Brahman self. Everything is the supreme being. And so the universe, what we call the world a universe, is actually myself, the self. This does not mean everything goes away. Enlightenment doesn't mean there's no more trees. It means I am the trees. The trees are being. I am being. And I am the consciousness that is aware of it all. It is all happening in me. It is all made of me. This me is being. It is not a person. It is not personal. I am the law and the way. Beautiful. Make sure you come to Malta. Malta desperately needs healing from all its religious conditioning. Absolutely. It's definitely there. Yeah, definitely on the list. Just have to organize. All I need is all my Euro buddies. I need to get enough people to show up that it pays for my expenses so I can get there, I can stay there, and I can get back. If I have a little left over, great. Wonderful. But it doesn't have to be a major league thing. But if I can get enough people together and to cover expenses and the like, I'll just wander endlessly around Europe. I have no problem with that at all. So, yes, come to the UK, GP, says Roz. Yes, I am. Yay, come to the UK. I definitely will be. Yes, definitely on my list. Looks like you've been hacked by a webcam channel. I reported them. Yeah, nothing new. Nothing new. Yeah. Got you covered. Things feel like a problem because we have an expected outcome. I feel disappointed and feel like there's a problem because there's a desire something I want that keeps eluding me. Yeah, exactly. What you're really desiring, Susanna, is you. This is what people don't get. We're really desiring to reconnect with ourselves. That is it. Now, that doesn't say, okay, I'm never going to have a relationship again. No. It's not that. It's not that. And as Lisa and I will be discussing, it's also not about, okay, I can't love anybody until I love myself, because that's nonsense as well, right? But what we are looking for, what we think we're going to find in the relationship or the job or the the windfall of money or the new place, what we think we're going to find, right, isn't what we are actually looking for. Is the reconnection with ourselves and our own wholeness. But because we've been so conditioned that we aren't whole, we think something external has to fill that up. And then we get the idea, some spiritual idea, oh, that I don't need anything out there. It's all within me. And so all of this now becomes superfluous, and it's not important. I'm going to throw all that out. And that's equally dumb, right? Because when you discover it in you, you discover it everywhere. Now, the universe becomes a reflection of your wholeness rather than a seeking of that wholeness. So you're always looking for you. But because you don't realize you're looking for you, you think you're looking for something else. It's not satisfying. It keeps eluding you because that's not really it. And of course, if you're going through a string of things, a string of failures, right, in relationship or business or anything like that, you think, what am I doing wrong? One of these things has got to work. No, it's life is now forcing you to look back. It's forcing you. No, it's not there. Don't look there anymore. It isn't there. And you go, well, yeah, no, it isn't. What are you actually looking for? You. You're looking for your own wholeness. That's it. And where is that? It's not out there. This doesn't disregard out there, right? This doesn't put it away and say, this is unimportant, right? No, it's just, this is more important because if I know me, I am now fully present with everything I experience. No more seeking something. I go into the realm of pure self-expression. And now that's the celebration of life. That is the ecstasy. Love it. Okay, this is amazing. Joanne, wow, just love this. And your mind is amazing. You could just sit for hours and listen. And well, needless to say, I could sit for hours and talk. And I don't know about what it is about today, but I'm kind of jazzed. I don't want to stop. But please stop the comments. We do have to stop sometime. So please, no more questions. I will just kind of go through. Thank you. I have not problem. Yes, you have no problems. Awesome show tonight, Jeep. Bringing this play to our display. Okay, enough puns. Do the 5. Stop. Do the 5. Totally with you on that one, Joanne. Energy goes where your focus flows. Yep, absolutely. Gaslighting, definitely a show. Yeah. It's Francis King's talk on spirituality. If there's no separate self, who is it that believes there is one? Who needs to awaken? Consciousness itself? This is the great mystery, Francis. And it's not the kind of thing you can just kind of, nobody, right? In a dream, if in your dream, you're dreaming about dreaming and you're trying to awake, right? What in that is real? None of it. Only you. Put your attention on the point of cognition within yourself. Don't even ask the question, separate self. How? Those are all speculations based on an other. And you turn separate self into kind of this thing, right? Separate self is just a concept. So there is no separate self, right? There's a belief in the separate self, right? But even that, let's take a step behind that and just put your attention completely on what you absolutely know, your own being, right? Drop all of their questions and just sit with that and nothing but that. Don't let anything else in. No past, no future, not even enlightenment. No questions, right? Not as a fight, not get rid of the questions, but notice that all of those are just distracting you from the simplest experience, which is the only self you actually know. The only thing for you to actually know. The only self you know. You don't know me. Even the idea of separate self, what the hell is that? Right? These are all terms we use, right? These are all words and pointers we use to try to point somebody back. But let's go right to where we're pointing to. You. Go to you. You, just you. Nothing else extra. The pure experience of your own being. And just be with that. Right? And there's no separation there. There's no separate self there, because even that's a concept. The only thing there is you. And just be with that. And at first, the mind will go, well, there's nothing here. How do we know? Where's the understanding? What about all the others? Am I alone here? Just put all of those ideas to the side. Because if the truth is what the truth is, then it's going to be the answer to everything. And it's not going to be this isolated loneliness for eternity. It can't be that. That would be eternal hell. That would be eternal just suffering. It can't be that, right? So just stay with the pure beingness itself and nothing else. Everybody can do this, right? Not just Francis, and everybody can do that. Right? And this is what I do in the meditations, what I did in the beginning of this, is just put all the thought aside and just be with that sense of being and see what unfolds. And notice how it does not require anything to sustain it. And it's effortless, and you didn't create it. And you can't find a boundary to it, or you can't find a beginning to it. And it doesn't have a gender. It doesn't have an age. It doesn't have a form. It doesn't have a body. It doesn't have any beliefs. It doesn't have any problems. It just is pure isness, pure being. So true, Judy. I want fixing, not the truth. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Listen to Ultra Wisdom again and again. Such uplifting. On this lifetime, I will meet you. Beautiful words. Thank you, David Lane. Loving it. Thanks. That was helpful. Speaking about God and hell is a big sabotage for me. As yes, I know. We're getting through it, Mary. That's all collapsing. It's all collapsing. Play this 24/7. This is all. Oops. Let's see where we. Oh, a mail, by the way. Sorry, Truth Loops. Sorry. Whoops. Sorry. There's more of the hot girls and hot boys. Girls and boys video chat. Illusion, not real. Yes, it's yeah. Smoke and mirrors. Thank you so much. Hard to go home if you've never left the house, to paraphrase Rumi. Yeah, and Nirzagadata, having never left the house, you're asking for the way home. You're being honest, gee, I felt the same energy from him, although I got fooled when he talked about being vulnerable and it not being a sign of weakness. Yeah, it isn't. Let's see. You could see as a child, like, yes, of course. What choice do you have, Mary? You have to accept it. Yeah, so it gets ingrained in us, and it just infects all the thinking. And yeah, it can take a little bit to pull it all out. Him and Steve Crowder, probably even Ben Shapiro, damn the things I will be called and put down for. Yeah. Don't pay any attention to any of them. Wonderful satsang ji. Thank you for cutting through the veil with such surgical precision that's often necessary in order to save the patient. Yes. Yep. You got to spill a little blood to save the patient. Sorry. Thank you for another. Love you. Love you too. Love you too, Truth Lips. And yeah, I see a little bit further down, you're a guy. It's okay. I still love you. Expected outcome can certainly cause issues. Yes, that's all it does. If I have an expected outcome, unless that conforms to that. And life did not take any kind of, make any kind of out to conform to your needs. It's never anything in experience which is not awake and aware right now. Yes. My ex-wife name is Maya. Alluring at first. That's great. But totally unstable and constantly coming and going. Yeah. Elbow cough. Oh my. You should have been, man, you should have had a clue on that first date. Oh, Maya. But hey, sometimes you got to buy the whole thing in order to really get the picture. Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome, Isabel. Roz, I feel as though my mind has been lying to me my whole life, but I somehow try to not take it personally. It's not lying. It doesn't know the truth, right? In order to lie, something has to know the truth. It's ignorant. Yeah. Your mind is ignorant. Your mind has been based on ignorance, based on what isn't true. And what can fix that? The truth. Only the truth can fix it. Yeah. Which is what you're getting, right? So it's no problem anymore. Your mind, your mind will eventually become your servant. In the beginning, it's a real pain in the ass, but eventually it becomes your servant. Love time spent with you too. Love Muji too. Feels so smooth. You're both teachings. Yeah. Thank you. Emil, by the way, all good. Isabel, I am Portuguese. Me too. Didn't go to Muji because COVID past year. But I am Portuguese. Okay. You're Portuguese. From Portugal, I guess, not from Brazil. You're Portugal is not Brazilian. Wonderful. Jill, reference to unwanted posters and their porn links. If they only knew what they're actually conveying, I'd way rather have your spiritual porn. Not afraid of death anymore since searching the truth about me and life. Good. Longest ever satsang? Longest ever, I think this. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't want to stop. Great stream. Looking forward to seeing some of you in the upcoming course. Yay. Inner workspace. That's Evan. That's Evan. You're cutting out the pointers and serving up a true masterclass today. Love it. Gratitude. You're welcome, sir. Isabel, I asked you if you're going to Portugal, as Muji goes there for a retreat place too. He lives there, right? It's not just a retreat place. He does a retreat place near there in Otamara called Zimar, but he actually lives there. That's where his home is and his ashram, and he does satsangs from there. They're closed during the COVID. No, won't be opening for this year. They don't think they're going to be opening again until 2022. Let's hope with time stamping this we're able to. Oh, thanks. It's the mate. Yeah. Oh, it's the mate. Yeah. Satsang Ironman G. That's right. I'm doing my triathlon here. I actually have to go to the laundry now. After the ecstasy, the laundry. It's only a movie where both the actors and the audience. Who's the producer? You. You as well. The part of you that you forgot in order to enjoy the show. I like that. The part you got in order. All right, I did it. Yes, our spiritual Iron Man, says Steffi. Yeah, I got a lot of endurance. I do have a lot of endurance. Actually, it's less. My sons have commented that my energy was just through the roof. I mean, I slept 4 hours a day. I was just I'm actually a lot slower now than I used to be. But look at that, I got through the whole list. So yes, now it's time. My dear. Oh, this is so good. How can I help but hang around? There are people who want to know the truth. The people who want to be free. There are people who are suffering and want the way out. That's my job. Oh, Daniel, good to see you. So good to see you. That is the Bodhisattva's commitment, right? Suffering beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. And just to go all the way. And having saved all beings from suffering, no being has been saved. What a beautiful, wonderful thing to ponder. Thank you all. Love you all so much. So much. Until next week, or Tuesday, or in a class. Namaste.